Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B. He's Buddy the God.
Hey,
Welcome,
hey,
welcome,
hey.
welcome. It's August 3rd, 2026. Yeah,
Heard of 23 coming.
20, I almost said 2016. You know how that works.
Even further. Time.
Yeah, it is a Monday and it is 7 o'clock. We appreciate everybody that's joining us early this morning. Come on in. Got a good 3 hour show going for you. Lots of good wins to talk about today. Of
Hey.
course, this is also the beginning of Black August. We'll get into that as well. Also, some news about the streetcar coming up. But man, even though we got
Yeah.
all this new construction happening, we still got towers with problems. People dealing with problems in their towers,
Yeah, man.
which is an ongoing thing with us as well. And then, of course, we have our special guest coming in, as you saw at the top. Leo Lewis will be joining us a little bit later on in the show. So we're gonna fire it on up. Come on in, make yourself at home. How you feeling over there, buddy? How's it going?
Man, I'm tired, boss. I'm tired, but definitely looking forward to today's show. Looking forward to today's guest. Also, yeah, looking forward to getting into a little Black August, kind of going along on my weekend. I'll be letting you know about it here in a second. But all I gotta say is legalize being black. You know what I'm saying?
Please do, please do. Well, it's illegal to be black on this show, so we can go ahead
Hey.
and fire it on up. And when we after the break, we're gonna have to get to talking about your new look. Stay tuned, y'all. First Guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Firing it up now.
Hey.
All I'll say is this: I talk to all legitimate reporters.
First Sky Omaha.
In the morning. Once again, welcome. Fresh edition of First Sky Omaha in the morning is happening right now.
In the morning.
It's going down. For those of you that join us on our evening show on Friday, we appreciate you coming on through. Remember, we are 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Fridays now. Friday evening, we got an in the evening show happening.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that goes down.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're skipping Wednesdays, but that's because we got a 3 hour Monday today. And yeah, it's going down this morning. I appreciate you guys coming on in. I see Pop's giving us a good Monday morning. Mad love from Las Vegas. So where it's 5 a.m. and 94 degrees.
Man, big shout out to Pop's devotion. Like 5 a.m.
It's rough. It's rough. Whenever I'm out on the West Coast, I got to get up at like that 4 or 3:30 and get ready for the show stuff. I'm just like, man, rough. So I appreciate you,
Devotion.
Pop. Marlon Harrison gives us a good morning, First Guy family, and happy motivational Monday. Love it, love it. Appreciate you. Kimber Snipes in the chat saying good morning. Good morning to you. And Michelle Moreno gives us a good morning, everyone. Appreciate you guys coming in early. The early birds coming on in.
Hey.
Yeah, with that. But your poll is looking, I don't know what your mic poll is doing. It's looking crazy. Like it's about to attack you. I hope that don't fall on his head. I don't know what's going on over there.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Just making sure
You
you're
can
okay.
hear me though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Hey, I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that.
All good.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey, it's
Yes, the tech is working at the moment for sure.
at the moment.
At
At
the
the
moment.
moment. Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out and appreciation to everybody who puts in articles on Friends of First Sky Omaha, the group page on Facebook, and you guys are putting articles in there, things to talk about with comments, which is good. Which the conversation kind of flows over there when we're not live over here, so that's good. There's been a lot of people that are coming in with their advertisements and stuff like that. So we'll let some of those slide, but you wanna do some advertising with us, let us know. Hit us up at firstsky@gmail.com because we do that in order to supplement making this show happen as well. But for the most part, thanks for everybody who's participating on that channel over there as well. And of course, like we just said, you can hit us up at firstsky@gmail if you do not get on Facebook for YouTube people there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do us a favor, share the show. If you're on YouTube, share the link. Email that to somebody, let them know we're on. Also, if you're on Facebook, you can share the show. As a matter of fact, I don't see any Facebook people in quite yet, so I'm hoping it's working.
Yeah. They
It's
kind of
working.
I will say the YouTubers are kind of taking over, man. The Facebook numbers are kind of, wonder what's going on. I see more YouTube in the chat than usual
in
or
in the
usual.
chat, but I still see more
Yeah.
Facebook people that come after and watch the show later and try to
Hmm.
participate then. So it's really interesting phenomenon. We've been trying to get away from
Yeah,
all of it, but can't do it.
man, gotta live alive with one another, y'all. Get out the matrix. Get out the matrix.
Pop says, I love that clip with the mayor. Hey, appreciate you guys
Hey,
too. Appreciate you, Pops. Donnell Sessions in the chat giving us a good morning. Appreciate that. While we're on it, while Pops is here, we might as well talk a little bit about what he got going on. He's been doing these Saturday sonnets, which is pretty
hey,
cool. Yeah. I
yeah,
was happy to see that. See what he got going on there. So that's what's up. If you haven't checked it out, go to Friends of First Sky Omaha. Check it out. As a matter of fact, I think I got let me see if this link works and you can get right to it.
yeah. Try
Yeah.
to do the tech thing.
I
Man,
did.
going
Yeah, there
gonna
it
be
is.
giving black writers a little love today, man. Shout out to you, pops. Shout
I
out,
like
shout
that.
out.
I like that. Pop's a Saturday sonnet was one that was after my own heart, being a foodie. He's this one was number 6. He dropped on August 1st. He said a Southern Comfort road trip. He was talking
Mm,
about some food. Yeah, I'm gonna tease you with it. Go check it out. This entry is from his book called Soul Poet that he has. You can get that on Amazon as well. So go ahead and check it out. It got me kind of inspired to pull out my poems and try to put some stuff out there. We should constantly be putting work out. We're putting our voice out anyway. We might as well put our authentic voice, our real voice out there when it comes to our art. So shout out to Pops, steady inspiring folks. Appreciate that.
man. Even got books in the library.
So in the Omaha Public Library at that too. So
At that,
definitely,
at
yeah,
that.
man, check him out.
Doing it big.
A couple more things I wanted to talk about too. Let's jump into a little bit of community updates. There's
Hey,
not a whole lot going on our end, except for we're kind of just anxious about what's going on this month. Every year we talk about Black August. Shout out to Anthony Rogers Wright who posted this in Friends of First Sky Omaha, reminding us about Black August and what it is. If you don't know what it is, we'll talk about it. We're going to talk about it this show. We're going to dive in a little bit and talk about this. So yeah, Black August is a celebration of Black revolutionaries, and we'll get into it this month, and yeah, hopefully we'll do some things this month in this new tradition of Black August.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's what's happening right now. Of course, if there's any events or anything like that going on that you see that we need to double down on this week, let us know. You can let us know here or on Friends of First Sky Omaha, of course. We already talked about Pop's sonnet, Saturday sonnets, and this is something that I think is pretty interesting for me. I came across this. I follow this guy named FD Signifier.
Hey,
He just put out a video on YouTube called "I'm Probably Done with Political Content," which if you know about him, then you know that he has a lot to say when it comes to politics. He's discussing lots of things, and this was a very interesting one too. And a couple things stood out for me. And the things that stood out for me really had to do with the the idea of what it is that we do here on the show. So I'll take just a second to talk about it. When we discuss the things that we discuss on the show, I know that it's for education purposes, for information, so that we can be a more informed unit and then come together and make some change. And that change is needs to be in the form of action, and so a lot of times we don't always get to the action part. When we don't get together and get to the action part, this is something that we're constantly trying to push and work for and get to. And he brought up this idea about the word praxis, which is the kind of the antithesis of catharsis, which I'm kind of understanding now. A lot of what we do here and what he does there, and any kind of vlogs and video essays and that type of thing, podcasts are a little bit cathartic. We want to talk about these things, and we want to find out what's going on, and we want to understand it, and we want to put some fire to it and talk about it and do all these things, and it kind of feels good, like now we've discussed it, we feel good, we can go on about our day. But that's not really getting to the action part, and the action part is the praxis part.
bro.
Catharsis and praxis represent two fundamentally opposed ways of processing human suffering, art, and politics. Catharsis
Hmm.
is the purging or release of pent up emotions, which is like what we do here. I feel like we do that. We kind of have a release when it comes to some of the things that we're feeling and thinking when it comes to some of the news that's relevant to us. particularly pity and fear. It's a psychological or emotional resolution achieved by venting or feeling deeply. And praxis, the opposed and definitely the opposite of that is translating theory into action. Is the process of engaging in conscious, deliberate action to change material or social realities, moving beyond just thinking about a problem or feeling an emotion. So a lot of times when I get pent up about what we're doing here and how we're making a difference, that's what I feel like. I'm always feeling like I got to push and figure out how to get to the solution to a thing so that we
Mm-hmm.
can all kind of get together and make a move. And it's because I'm feeling that need for the praxis part. The catharsis is here because we are regularly speaking to each other and we can break things down and it feels good after we do. But we got to get to this other part. I watched something else last night that reminded me about that. We can come to a revelation. We always have these revelations. Something hits us and we're like, we're going to change our mind about this thing, and it feels good, and we know that that's what's happening, but we're not going to change our actions to that revelation until we start engaging in the process of it. The action and the environment is what changes your habits and your mind and your in all those things, not just the revelation of the change. So anyway, that just was something I wanted to share because I want to definitely make us get down that rabbit hole of every time we are discussing some of these things that we're discussing, just keep in mind that we're doing it so that we can all be on the same page in order to get to some action. I'm definitely trying to move the show into more praxis than catharsis, because there's a lot of that out there already. I never wanted us to be just a podcast, a couple talking heads, a couple people that just are talking about the news but not doing anything about it. We're kind of solutions oriented, and it's just a reaffirmation for me to get to the praxis. So hopefully that is something that it vibes with you. I don't know if you want to talk about that. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. But what say you, buddy? If you want to.
Man, that was kind of a heavy concept to open up the show with. You dropping definitions and things like that on them. But I do wonder, did you watch One Spoonful of Chocolate yet?
I still have not been able to watch that. No.
Because basically what you just explained, I couldn't think of the words. So thank you for giving me the verbiage for it. But what you just explained, if anybody caught Friday's episode, that was pretty much my sentiment in the second hour about One Spoonful
Mm,
of Chocolate.
mm,
And we can
okay.
we can round back around to this in the third hour now that we do this. Come
Hey.
back to that concept. But that is something that I definitely do want to come back to. I do appreciate you sharing that. I did see that video. I also do follow FD Signifier. I didn't click on it and take the time to watch it yet. But that is a sentiment that he has shared before. And yeah, that's a conversation worth digging into a little deeper on later into the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do that. And again, if you're just joining us, we are anticipating our special guest that's coming in today. Leo Lewis is going to join us a little bit later on in the show. And this is a person who I definitely feel like is out taking some action on some of the things that need action taken
Yeah.
on. Yeah, we'll be talking about it, and we'll be talking to him shortly as well. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and jump into today's thread. Some of the news that's out there that we need to be talking about. Buddy, what's first on the agenda?
Man, well, today's thread, of course, is teamwork makes the dream work. That is this season's theme. And we're going to be looking at it from a couple of angles, looking at, of course, housing. As you mentioned, there's some housing things. Of course, we talked about last week, one of the wins was the sale of City View building. Again, I'm calling it a teamwork makes the dream work win, as community members teamed up to help those residents, find better housing, better situations. And now it looks like the team might have to reassemble. Regulators might have to mount up
Mm.
this time for another apartment, man. Shout out to brother Sherman Wells sharing this video. Man, when the people trust you, they come to you. They come to you. So again, the big shout out to Sherman Wells getting the calls from the people, being there for the people, and sounding the alarm. There's some video out there. So yeah, we're going to be sharing some of that, talking about that a little later on. Also looking at it, continuing some conversation. I honestly did not anticipate the whole traffic conversation to dominate as much of the show as it did last week, but I appreciate everybody's input and feedback on this situation. Apparently now city officials are looking for feedback. There is a website I do want to share with you all today that kind of details more clearly what's going on with Ames Avenue. Again, a lot of traffic, a lot of construction going on around the city, but specifically in North Omaha. Even as again, I don't know if it quite is going on in Omaha yet, but my baby's starting school today, and a lot of people are kind of anticipating as school starts up around Omaha North. Traffic getting bad out there. And Paul, you said there was actually a weekend along or a wreck over the weekend, excuse me, along Ames Avenue. So definitely would love to, talk more about that. Get your thoughts out there about the safety of Ames Avenue, and again, go over this plan, and also update you on some of the other construction going on around the city. Apparently, there's more closures this week downtown. So if you got to go downtown, handle some business, or you're just doing some work, got to go to the courthouse, renew those tags. Yeah, you might want to, look out, drive safely out there. Also, we had Brother Leo Lewis coming through, as we mentioned earlier. And man, I want to talk to him about a few things that may be a benefit of us having a little longer show, get to hopefully dive deeper in with our guests, because Brother Leo Lewis is active in many areas. But of course, I do want to talk about education. There was a lot of conversation about board members showing up to board meetings last week, and who's sick and who's not and what's going on. But I got some thoughts on some other things we need to be paying attention to in the school system, namely schools still trying to suspend preschoolers, kindergartners. Have to talk about that. Still coming through. It's something Brother Leo Lewis was actually very active about. Would definitely love to hear his thoughts. And on top of that, what he's doing with dads. Of course, he just had the dads march last week. Would definitely love to hear directly from him as far as the mentality, the why behind the whole situation, bringing the dads together, and also dig into his philosophy of self-governance, a little self-policing, community policing. That's something we've also been talking about here this season. So again, getting closer into the philosophy, man. Again, Brother Leo Lewis, we kind of talked about it last week, has a 4-tier approach to how things can be secured in the hood. So again, we're going to talk about all that and more throughout the next couple of hours. Of course, if there's anything on your hearts and minds that we're not talking about, missing the mark on some things, definitely feel free to drop that into the chat. Let your mind be free. Let your voice be heard. In the meantime, between time, Paul B, what's going on, man? What's the word?
Man, lots of words going on. I'll jump into the chat real quick before we go to a break. We got a good morning from Miss Erica Fell. Appreciate you coming on through. Also, Brother McGaw's in the chat. Good morning, family. Check out the Omaha AI Marketing Accelerator presented by 5-Star BDM and Omaha 100. Join the wait list now. You got a link there for you. We'll talk more about that a little later on the show as well. Miss Erica Fell gives us a good morning. Also, Ascender KML gives us a good morning all. Miss Erica Feld is asking, was that a win? Someone in Florida bought it, talking about the win of the towers that we were talking about just happening. You said teamwork makes the dream work on that. I think we were definitely referring to how we were trying to be there for the people that were in there in the first place, getting evicted and so on. We'll see if it's going to be anything that's going to help the city now that another entity is coming in buying it. She also talked about feedback after they started, so we'll get into the talking about the safety of Ames and what they've already started doing over there with Ames. I actually drove it myself yesterday to kind of see what was going on, and coming back for feedback a little bit later on in the situation. But I do think they had a little feedback session before they started as well, but it just wasn't as publicized. We'll get to it. Anthony Rogers right in the chat says, I don't think we can qualify this as a win. The city couldn't find $3 million to buy that place, but wants $200 million for a new cop city. Nice priorities. I don't did this was the city up for trying to buy some of this property? That maybe they should have tried to come up with $3 million to get out from under it. Not sure. I think they would probably leave that up to private development the way they did. So again, is it a win if somebody from out of town is purchasing that building? Has it been a win when they do that? We've had a lot of news articles about that, so we'll talk about it a little bit more. As a matter of fact, Kimmer says if you talk to people who frequent Hanks, they will tell you just how dangerous they feel walking on that sidewalk to get to establishment on Ames. Yeah. Same thing with Dreamland Lounge. It's a little tough to get around there. Even Shawnee is having some issues over there with Island Chill. So that's definitely been a area on Ames that's been problematic to say the least. Is that woman who was in her wheelchair and was killed down on 60th and Ames is proof positive that there's a serious problem. Man. Marla Harrison says, I feel like people with sports cars still want to go 50 on Ames and are crying because they can't anymore. Yeah. Yeah. We'll get into it. We'll definitely talk about it some more. And Kimmer has some more things here that we'll jump into as well. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and take a quick break. Come back, and we'll jump into the articles. Jump into the discussion. Thanks for coming in and firing the discussion up, getting it going for us. We really appreciate that. We appreciate you, and we appreciate everybody who's joining us in here today. So thank you. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come right back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B. Buddy to God. We'll be right back, y'all. Stay tuned. Welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddy to God.
Hey.
Trying to get together on this Monday morning. Appreciate everybody that's came in this morning. Yeah, man. Still getting used to this new schedule. Again, the new schedule is Monday morning from 7 to 10, which is where we're going to talk about most of the news and intentions for the week. And then we skip Wednesday, and then we have Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. With the weekly wrap-up show. The In the Evening show happens on Friday, where we'll get a little bit more about Into the Love Supreme and set intentions for the weekend as well. So appreciate you being here. This is where we're going to do a lot of the discussion about the news and about the things that are affecting our communities that you guys have put out in Friends of First Sky Omaha, and some of the articles that are floating around from our partners at places like Flatwater Free Press, Nebraska Examiner, even Sherman Wells and Sermon with Sherman. A lot of other people that are doing some work. Cheryl Weston, who's been covering a lot lately as well. We're looking at all of it and trying to translate a lot of what's happening so we can discuss it and get to some praxis, get to some action. So let's go ahead and dive in, buddy. What's first on the agenda? Appreciate you holding tight for me.
Oh yeah, man. Starting off with the wins. Again, I appreciate y'all joining the conversation. Definitely love to hear your thoughts. I do want to respond to the whole selling of the building. Not necessarily saying that the selling of the building to the Florida organization itself is the win, but the fact that people aren't still living in that building in the conditions that they were living in is the win. The fact that the building itself got sold and people aren't still living there is the win. So big shout out to everybody who help with that situation, and we might need your help again with this Pine Street situation. We'll jump into that here in a second, but I want to continue celebrating the wins, and a big shout out to brother Anthony Rogers Wright reminding us and sharing this on Friends of First Sky as far as the background behind Black August. Definitely recognizing that. Actually been hearing a lot about brother Mumia Abu Jamal. A lot of people around me have been just invoking his name, bringing his name up, and reminding us that Black August is much to do with the spirit of what it is that we're trying to do here at First Sky Omaha, going back to the praxis of what you're talking about, Paul, in the spirit of not just journalists, not just storytellers, not just truth speakers, but the journalism is activism spirit is definitely what we're invoking and what we feel, and why we celebrate Black August. Again, recognizing revolutionary speakers. Definitely still free brother Mumia Abu Jamal. If you remember, we had his prison radio talk show on for years at Mind and Soul, which is still going on. So if you want to check that out, definitely check out prisonradio.com. Check out brother Mumia Abu Jamal and the work that he's still doing even behind bars. Big shout out to him. But also just shout out to Black writers in general. Another win is the organizers of the Black Writers Weekend, which again, over the weekend I went to an event down here in Atlanta. It was a mixer of black writers, again, black fiction, nonfiction writers, publishers, journalists, just a mixer, for writers to come together, network, fellowship. They had book signings, they had documentary showings, they had book pitches. It was just a beautiful, beautiful scene. So just shout out to the culture, man. Shout out to black storytellers. Shout out to black writers. Also getting ready for NABJ coming up, which is the National Association of Black Journalists. Apparently, their conference will be here in Atlanta this year as well. And even ran into a few of my classmates from the School of Journalism from FAMU. So again, shout out to black writers, black storytellers. This is why we do what it is that we do, and of course, we'll be getting into a little deeper in later, maybe in the third hour. We'll see how long this conversation with Brother Leo Lewis goes on. But I do appreciate that you brought up, that whole FD signifier situation, which is another brother, black creative, black writer, if you will. Of course, he does it in a video version, but they're video essays. He's writing what he's talking about before he does it. So again, big shout out to that brother, and a shout out to all of you. All of you, again, all of you have a story to tell, and that is also a big part of what it is that we're trying to do, as far as empower the citizens, empower the people to tell their own story, because nobody's going to tell your story like you, which is also something we'll get into a little later on. But yeah, those are the wins for this week. Again, trying to start off with the affirmative of things. Teamwork makes the dream work, man. That's the dream. Telling their own story, a little agency over our lives. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Speaking of wins and storytelling, Sister Shamika hit me up and said that she's been involved in another film. Of course, she was a part of that the Red Line film that came out a little while ago. This one's called The Inconvenient Native Son, and I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but it's on YouTube. She hit me up and said check it out. It's going to be pretty powerful. Let me see if I can. I think I pulled aside the link to it, so I can get you that link and you can go check that out. We can also discuss that. So shout out to more storytelling, more people who are putting those kinds of storytelling formats out. Especially, we love the short documentary film when it comes to these things. And so, yeah, man, shout out to Shamika and everybody who's behind this that we were going to dig into and figure out.
Man, actually, speaking of, oh, sorry. Speaking of Undesigned, the Red Line, that's quite a story too, man. I still haven't seen that film, but
really?
Again, Omaha being the microcosm, of what's going on in this nation as far as redlining and that history. Housing is still a big issue, and redlining has a big part to do with that. Even now, with the data centers and some of the communities that these data centers are being built around, being developed because of redlining. So yeah, definitely big shout out to Sister Shamika, another alum of the Minus Soul fam, back in the Minus Soul days, doing good work. If you remember the Doug and Mika show, which actually Paul came across some of those episodes. I found some of those episodes of the Doug and Mika show in my files.
Oh, nice. Oh, I'm
yeah,
glad.
yeah. They did it. So shout out to Sister Shamika, still getting down. Also, if you want to keep going, if that's all right.
Yeah, before we do that, we kind of left it hanging about Black August. I don't know if you wanted to get back into Black August a little bit later on, but just for the people that don't know about Black August, just wanted to give them a quick rundown. It's an annual month-long observance dedicated to honoring Black political prisoners, commemorating the history of Black freedom struggle and resisting racial and colonial oppression. Originating in California's San Quentin State Prison in 1979, it was created to remember figures like George and Jonathan Jackson, a couple of political prisoners there. So that's what it's all about. It's a holiday. It's a Black holiday that most people don't really know too much about because of the nature of it, celebrating Black revolutionary action. And as you can see at the top of this poster, study, fast, train, fight. So some more practice, some action here that we're talking about, which is aligned with this practice idea that I've been on here this last couple of days. This is some of the action to take in order to do some of the things. It's not just about celebrating the past, but it's about what you're doing to get ready to make some moves and make some movement in for the future and for the right now. So study, fast, train, fight. These are the tenets for Black August. Yep. So just wanted to remind people who knew before, and also let people know who didn't know what that was about. Highly suggest you go to our Facebook page, Friends of First Sky Omaha, and check out Anthony Rogers Wright, his entry there, because he lays a lot more out about it and talks about how we can celebrate it and so on and so forth. So shout out to him And shout out to everybody who you're just talking about. I'm definitely looking forward to going to the National Association of Black Journalists if I can get there, because this is a decades long organization that's been doing the work for a long time, and it's interesting to even think of ourselves as maybe being a part of this. So I'm definitely looking to go check it out. I know that you could probably got way more colleagues there than me, but I'm interested in meeting the people that are behind that for sure, for sure. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
just
oh
kind
yeah.
of wanted to throw that in there before we moved on. But yeah, shout out to everybody who was a part of the journalism, the news gang, basically.
Man, I mean storytelling. Big shout out to you for kind of being the one that recognize that and saying like early on while people were going out protesting and being in the streets and being active, there is also a role to play in having the story told. Somebody has to tell the story, which and also it, both after the fact and in real time the story has to be told as well. So but that's not the end all be all. We definitely need some action behind
Right.
that. So yeah, definitely appreciate you for that. And then also, while we're speaking of storytellers and black stories and writers, I do want to give a shout out to apparently a 20-year-old book club. This is being reported by KMTV. And this is kind of hitting close to home, man. Shout out to my cousin Anita, who's a part of this book club. She's quoted in this article. Again, it's a book club, 20 years of a group of women, black women, meeting for this book club. My cousin Anita, shout out. She says, I said a book club. We can get together with some ladies. Really? Yeah, actually, it was my idea. And I came to you again talking about how she first came up with the idea for the group made up about women ages 40 to 70, each bringing their own story to the table. Again, everyone has a story to share, saying, I think every last lady in this room is beautiful. I think everybody comes with their own perspective. And as far as some of the books, again, these women over the course of the 20 years have read more than 200 books, specifically by African American writers, stories that spark meaningful conversations and create room for healing, saying different books bring out different experiences, different traumas, and this is a safe space. Excuse me, it's a safe space for me to come, and I feel that I can trust these ladies, and whatever I bring up stays here. So no matter who started, everyone agrees on what's it become: a place where Black women celebrate their culture, lift one another up, and create family they choose. So, which is man, that might be something worth digging into a little bit. I know we talk a lot about living alive with one another, but the point of the family that you choose, curating the space that you're in, curating the people that you're living alive with. And I don't know if you're, I guess, look into or familiar with the concept of the top five, Paul. You're kind of it's an idea that you're the culmination of the people you spend the top five people you spend the most time with.
Mm.
So yeah, curating your space, living alive with one another, that chosen family is important. It's important. So again, shout out to my cousin Anita for building this space for these women and using stories and using storytelling to do just that, to come together and heal, man. That's what it's about.
20 years, 200 books. That's what's up. That's definitely a win. That's what's up.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I've been a part of several, probably 3 or 4 different book clubs that we're trying to fire up. Book club is a hard thing to get going and get and maintain. So
It
so
is.
it is, from personal experience, I'm seeing how hard that is. I try to start 2 or 3 myself. It's hard one. It's a hard one to do. So for 20 years and 200 books in, that's quite an achievement. It may not sound like much on the surface, but try to form a book club and see how tough that is for real.
Man. And
Yeah.
it's all African American writers. So I know they getting into some Morrison, they getting into some Baldwin. They, you know what I mean? They getting down and having conversations around it. So shout out to those ladies. And there has been some talk about a First Sky book club. There's been some whispers. It's hard. It's hard. I've been trying to just have a constant, rotation of reading books myself. Which just doing it on my own time is hard. So I can definitely imagine doing it within a group setting. But hey, maybe accountability partners can go a long way. So yeah,
Could
yeah,
be,
yeah.
could be. And you know what else I'm thinking about there too, because of course we've been talking about that and kind of tooling around this idea of trying to put a book club together, but there's kind of like unofficial book club kind of stuff happening all the time.
Hmm.
Around the Friends of First Sky Omaha, for instance. Anthony Rogers Wright was in Friends of First Sky Omaha, suggesting a book to another alumni of Friends of First Sky Omaha, Miss Bonnie, and she went ahead and bought it and got back on and told everybody they needed to get it. The ruination of the black community. He said this was a scholar that was very deeply rooted in North Omaha, and everybody needs to check this out and read this. So I see book suggestions being passed back and forth all the time, and people reading stuff and getting on the same page. Also, Keatron Zeichel, who's a journalist that we worked with in the past as well, she's been talking about rereading that book James that just came out a few years ago. It was kind of the side of Huckleberry Finn about the actual man. They're calling Jim in that book. This book is called James, and she was wondering if anybody had read that. And I was on the library committee and just had read it and suggested it. We started talking about that. So unofficial kind of discussions behind books and things like that have been going on this whole time in Friends of First Sky Omaha. So yeah, maybe we could try to get to the point where we solidify that up and make it a book club and get there. That's another way to get on the same page with everybody as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. Give us some suggestions on stuff that you've been reading. Also, we talked earlier about Pop's book. He's been putting out some stuff on his end as well in order to kind of push the books that he wrote. And then of course we got Brother McGaw and some other folks, we got authors in Friends of Omaha in the chat chimers too. So we definitely need to be reading each other's books in that way in this group. So yeah, there's a lot of
did I freeze? Did I freeze? I don't know.
No, they take that would be very nice to see. So shout out to everybody who's still with us. It is 7:37 right now, if you believe in the concept of time. And we might need to take a quick break in order for us to get some stuff reset here. We got a few little technical difficulties I see going on. We'll jump into it. Before we get to that, Anthony Rogers right in the chat is saying Dr. Stelly was an academic revolutionary. So the question is, why was he shined by Omaha's Black Miss Leadership class? Because he struck a chord and told the truth about many of our leaders. Great book. Okay. All right. We'll have to dig in. Check it out. Appreciate the suggestion. There you go. Somebody froze. Yeah, we having a little issue here. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break. And buddy, if you could handle yours, I'll handle mine on the next. I'm having the same issue on this side. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Take a quick break. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B. Buddy the guy. Be right back, y'all. Welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Buddy is still trying to get his tech back working. We got some internet problems here. So I just wanted to jump back on just to say, hey, please stick with us. We appreciate everybody who's sticking with us so far. We are at 7:40 right now, if you believe in the concept of time. in the first hour of First Sky Omaha in the morning, and we will continue this discussion all the way to 10 o'clock today. So lots to talk about today and get into. Before while we're waiting on Buddy to get back, just wanted to reiterate these haps that's going on. Noma Fest 5 is going down. I've actually got a chance to talk to Dana Murray, who's over there at Noma, putting this on, talking about the struggles and difficulties of kind of getting all these heavy hitters to come into town. Mohini Day, Frank McCone, the Bar Caves, Mono Neon, Keon Harrell, Richie Love is going down. We appreciate him doing that hard work. Man, this is kind of the beginning of the heavy hitters in coming to town. So shout out to Dana Murray working on all of those things, and of course all the other things that are coming in. We talked about the Bemis bringing in Chief Ajua on live at the low end, which is a very intimate setting. I don't know if you've been there and checked out some of those other acts that have been coming in from out of town over there, but really cool space to hear some experimental jazz and music and stuff like that happening. This is going on in December, so mark that on your calendars. But yeah, rest of the year is like heavy hitters. We've been talking about this the last couple of times that we've been talking. So we appreciate everybody who has been buying tickets. We were heard that ticket sales are coming up a little bit. Omaha kind of has this stigma of buying tickets at the very last minute for things. But apparently, people have been understanding what's happening here. Some heavy hitters and some heavy shows coming in. Shout out to Diggable Planets coming here in September as
Man,
well. Yeah,
Lupe.
yeah, man. Lupe Fiasco coming through. Lenny Kravitz coming through to the Steel House. Heavy
Absolutely.
hitters coming to town a big way. We'll be talking about it and continuing to talk about it as we go. Just wanted to give a shout out to everybody doing that. And also, while we're talking about haps, don't forget about For the Love of Barbecue that's coming up
Mm.
August 9th. Man, it's really interesting, like how every year this grows. Every year we get more participants, more sponsors, more people coming out. This is going down on Sunday, August 9th, 2026 from 1 to 4. And this is going to be at Miller Park this time. So shout out to everybody who's involved. Highly suggest you come out and check this out. Maybe we can turn Omaha into a barbecue town. Maybe it can be one of those ones that's on the map, like
Mm.
Kansas City. You know what I mean?
Beach City. Yeah, yeah. I
Just
mean, it
saying.
makes sense. It makes sense. Had one of the world's largest, stockyards at one point. It's a story to tell. Hmm.
There you get. There you go. Let us know if the tech is still acting
Yeah.
foolish. The tech is still teching wrong. Just a couple people in the chat just wanted to. Kimmer was talking about Vision Zero. Did a poor job of engagement. She says I've talked to them about the 3 times in the last week now about it. Talking about the organization
Mm.
is getting the feedback from Ames. I'm quite sure. She says safe streets
Yep.
and a much better job of engagement. She says safe streets with the same thing as Vision Zero, just for a wider spread in geographic area. Okay, so let's
Okay.
check out safe streets to your suggestion. Appreciate that very much. She says I worry about it becoming a 2.0 problem in just a new name. Talking about Hanks 2.0.
Mm.
Miss Erica Fell says there's always been a problem with safety on Ames. I always worried about my child driving to North. She says I take Sorensen down from 72nd 9 out of 10 times of the time. She says my concern is how are the kids going to get to North? It's already a parking. It's already parking on Ames at drop off from North in a child care right across the street with this narrowing. She says we already go into oncoming traffic to get around. Let there be a bus in the way. I'm almost died several
Mm.
times on Ames, bro. Ames is
Man.
yeah. Ames is treacherous. She says one of the reasons I'm thankful for the internet. First learned about Lamia Abdul Jamal in 2008 from the internet. Right on. Appreciate that. So yeah, we will definitely have to come back and talk about what's going on there, especially with the construction because it's
Hmm.
getting worse. And then of course, as we talked about before too, we reported there was a report that 2 people are injured after a crash in North Omaha on Sunday evening. The crash happened around 8:45 p.m. in the area of 61st Street and Ames Avenue. And then someone in the chat reminded us that a lady passed away who got hit. She was in a wheelchair and got hit on
Hmm.
Ames as well and died.
Yep.
Ames has been a problem, and I think the construction that they're talking about doing now is narrowing things down to one lane and making a turning lane so that people can kind of get off the street. That'll slow traffic way down. We saw that happen on 30th Street. You know, have to get more information about what they're doing. We can already see it. I kind of drove down Ames last night and can already see where they're painting lines. I was wondering if they're going to widen the streets or what kind of construction they're doing. They're not really doing much. They're just painting lines and creating different lanes and so on. So we'll see if that helps anything or affects anything. So we'll see. Appreciate it. She says I was talking about Vista Apartments with new ownership being a 2.0 problem. Got you. Yep.
Okay.
Appreciate you guys joining us. Appreciate you guys hanging in there with us past the tech difficulties. It is 7:45. You believe in the concept of time, and we do have our special guest waiting in the wings. Go ahead and bring him in, ladies and gentlemen. We got brother, the visionary lion himself, Leo Lewis.
Hey.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
We're good.
Yeah, doing good.
Happy Black August.
Oh yeah, likewise for sure.
Yes, sir. Of the same, kind of cut from the same cloth, brother. Definitely doing the good work out there for the people, and thank you for joining us. I'll say that it's always good to see you, Matt. I didn't get to make your Father's Day march, but we were talking about it last week, and can kind of start there. I'm sure people are familiar with you, and if you don't know about Brother Leo, something wrong with you because the brother's everywhere. But first of all, how you doing? How's the family? How's everything going?
Man, life is good, man. Life is good.
Appreciate you last minute getting on the show and jumping up so early with us as well. Appreciate that.
Oh, for sure. No problem.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and dive into it. As far as the Father's Day March, we can start there. What was kind of your mentality behind it? I mean, we have an idea, but would definitely love to hear from you directly and kind of speak your piece on that. And of course, I actually know that you've gotten some feedback since then, which I do want to talk about as well. Some of the responses that you've received from the community and how you responded to it. I don't know if anyone saw that post, but yeah. Just kind of talk about the event a little bit, and we can get into the response.
Oh, yes, sir. So first and foremost, shout out to all the great Black fathers who are present in their children's lives. Statistically, it's stated that Black fathers are not present. That is untrue because there are so many good Black fathers in our community and in communities across the world who are showing up and who are doing what they need to do to be in the home. And so after many conversations with numerous men, especially Black men in our community, they talk about not being acknowledged or celebrated for the work that they do. And so the Black Fathers March was a response specifically to that request, and also a way to bring our Black men together across the different classes of Black men. We have middle class Black men, upper economic income Black men, and then lower income Black men who are looking for resources and looking for ways to work together, but really there's no bridge that brings them together. So fatherhood is one thing that we all can get behind. And so that was one of the inspirations for doing the Black Fathers March and continuing the work. It's not done with the Black Fathers March. The luncheon was so much more powerful just following the march itself, just having experts in their field come and educate the Black men on different things that they could engage in and different ways to approach situations. We had a custody lawyer there. We had a health and fitness lawyer there. We had a mental health specialist. We had a spiritual guide there. Even had wealth management being talked about. So we're talking about giving our children the same foundation that other cultural groups have. And so all too often, it's very hard for us as a group of people to access those resources. We just put them all in one room so the fathers had access to it.
Man, I appreciate that. Actually, just in a personal capacity, a lot of men around me have been just dealing with, some of the ills of fatherhood that Black men, have to deal with. Mothers taking the children to different states and, trying to be active in the life, financial things, just some of the things that isn't talked about a lot, especially as Black fathers, as you mentioned, kind of the stigma out there. You see, especially on social media, the Black dad trope is still a thing. So even in 2026, mind you. So I definitely appreciate you on that. And is this something that you plan on doing annually and plan on growing beyond just the march and the luncheon?
100%. Yeah, there are conversations that are happening right now that's going to grow this thing beyond this one event. The march will happen probably annually, but the other events that'll go along with it will happen sooner than that.
And I don't know, man. I might be jumping the gun, but let me know. Of course, you've done some work with addressing suspensions and OPS, especially for our young folk. And now you're doing the work with the dads. Of course, we're learning here on the show. At least I learned that Mad Dads actually started in Omaha. Are you kind of seeing that route as far as going connecting those two, getting the dads in the schools, or is that not quite on your radar?
Yeah, if you notice my track record, it's all connected. When we talk about
Hmm.
violence prevention, community safety, all of those things, we know that
Right.
present fathers the reduce children's incarceration rate by at least 50% or more. And so
Mm,
we have to keep the fathers in the picture. Just being present alone, that don't mean they got to be very active. That don't mean they got to do a whole lot. Just being in the house by themselves or being known and being present alone reduces
mm,
a child's chance of going wayward. So it's all connected. Definitely, we're going to connect that up and make sure that it goes beyond just the fathers. Right now, the conversation is how do we uplift the fathers enough so that they can be prepared to be present for community abroad. But first, they got to be good in their home.
mm.
I was
Man.
wondering about the turnout and the engagement. Did you feel like you had a successful turnout and engagement? Did it meet your expectations?
I think it always could be better. However, what did happen was great. And I'm very pleased with that because I know the amount of time that we had to really make it bigger. The thing was, we didn't want to collide with, there was already a Father's Walk that was happening. Shout out to Jeremy Jernigan, who did that in June. And he did that at the Bob Carey Bridge. And it was a really successful piece. We didn't want to collide those two together because we both had kind of different visions. He wanted to do that downtown. I wanted to make sure it happened in North Omaha. And so I
Mm.
said, we'll wait and we'll do ours another day just so that you can get the turnout that you need because there's not enough celebration of Black Fathers. So we can continue to do this all year if you want to.
I feel that.
Real. That's
Yeah.
real. Another question I had about this too. Oh, well, not a question, but a comment because you mentioned that the strategy here was to reach all different classes, which I think is pretty genius because of the connector being the fatherhood being the connector to all those different classes. In Omaha in general, do you feel like that is sometimes an issue? Different classes of black men not able to connect with each other
Mm.
on any level.
Oh, I mean, it's a real issue. Y'all might end up doing a whole show about this. It's an issue about Black professionals not wanting to connect to Black North Omaha on the cultural side.
Mhm.
There's places
Mhm.
that are deemed safe, maybe places like Noma, etc., but they won't come spend time maybe on North 24th at the Dreamland on a Sunday afternoon. Like there's a real class divide in North Omaha when you talk about the Afro American population. And when you think about those Conagras, those UPs, those corporate jobs that are, I'm sorry, those corporate jobs that are downtown, you'll notice that there's a lot of people who will never venture past Cumming Street to come into North Omaha.
Mm.
You talking about black folks?
Yeah, we're talking about Black folks. We talking about other folks too, but even the Black professionals, doctors, lawyers, etc. I mean, it's very hard to find those Black professionals if you don't get to their bubble. If you're a native North Omaha and who spends most of your time in North Omaha.
And,
Mm.
and what's your vision for getting those groups together? If there's a big divide, what will a bringing together of the groups? What will that do for the community?
Oh, number one is going to just bring connectivity and unity. But when we talk about connectivity and unity, now we're talking about economics, we're talking about investment, we're talking about support, we're talking about all the things that people dream of when they dream of a Black Wall Street or you dream of a thriving Black community. You have to
Mhm.
have the intersection of the classes among a group of people. And unfortunately for Black people, our culture is not acknowledged enough among each other that allows us to see each other as part of the same cultural group. And I say that very specifically because Black is often stuck in the racial category, but never acknowledged
Mm.
as ethnicity or a cultural group. And I get it, Black is not our original name. We don't know our original name, but we can at least start with our ethnicity being identified under the cultural traits that we have under Blackness. If we can do that, then we can work together across the classes and be like every other ethnic that comes here and thrives. We
Mhm.
wonder why an immigrant come to Omaha or come to any part of our town and they have almost nothing and they succeed because their cultural foundation allows them to go from broke to talking to their professionals, and their professionals are able to give them a leg up without seeing them as a different people. And unfortunately for Black folks, when our professionals get to a certain place, they're seen as being sold out or too white, etc., and they disconnect from others who they feel are lower class, or they feel they won't be accepted in their spaces because they're hanging out too much with too many culturally Black people. That's just the reality.
So
Man,
it's interesting that you just said that, because you kind of flipped the script on we were talking first about how the kind of Black elites won't come past a certain area and won't mix and mingle. But you just mentioned something that was also very significant too, that I don't see a whole lot of in other communities too, which is the people that you feel like are in a different class and maybe a lower economic class, don't really want to hang with with those folks either, and there's a
Right.
divide on the other side too because of that very thing,
Mhm.
because they feel like they're sellouts that are out here working with the white man against them in the first place, and why would they want to connect with that? So,
Mhm.
big task on trying to bring all those groups together, but it's kind of genius that one thing that is connected through all the groups is fatherhood.
mhm.
Oh,
So right. So that's interesting. You went that route. I just wanted to make a comment on that.
No, I appreciate those sentiments. Actually, kind of makes me think of the definition of nationality from John, I believe John Henry Clark,
yes,
which
yes, yes.
which you kind of know where I'm going, which
Oh,
talks about the quality of character that arises from the fact of a person belonging to a nation. It's talking
correct,
about
correct,
nationality, but the
correct.
idea of a nation is nothing more than a family of families. It's a group, it's a culture, it's a thing. And you think of, maybe we talk about a lot about Japanese culture. Pops is a big fan of Japanese culture.
Mm,
If you meet somebody from Japan, and they're of the, like, rooted in the traditional Japanese culture, maybe family has maintained that culture and not gotten Americanized and into the capitalism, because that is a whole nother
mhm,
thing. But they might, move a certain way. There might be certain minimalistic things that they have in their homes, and there might be things that they do and traditions that they have that will tell you this person is of a Japanese culture.
yes,
And while we do have those things, we often in Black culture have to ask, what is our culture? That is definitely a
yes.
conversation that can take up a whole nother show. So I
Oh, yeah,
appreciate that.
100%.
Um, but I will say, I will use that to transition to something else I did want to talk to you about, which is on the other side of this. Of course, the fathers is a starting point. But getting fathers, getting men, this is something Brother Jahi Shabazz has talked about as well. The men coming together in the community and kind of offering a buffer of protection, and that's another point of conversation
Mhm.
to have. And one thing about a nation, one thing about a culture is having that kind of makes it easier to protect, because you recognize there's something collective to protect, or something, a dream that the team has to work for, per
Right.
se. So I do want to pivot into what you're thinking, and what you're doing with the Visionary Lion platform, and not just with the fathers, but just the community in general. Self-governance, community policing. Of course, over the summer we went to one of your workshops, one of your meetings. Thank you for inviting us to that. That really stuck with us, and we've been talking about it really ever since. So can you kind of share what you're doing with that, and that side of the work, and where that fits in this whole conversation, this paradigm of us rebuilding our culture and protecting our own communities?
Right on. Yes, sir. So many people know, some people may know that I have a background in gang intervention and prevention, me and my brother and a couple of others. And gang intervention and prevention is when you transition from the streets and you're like, man, I want to give back. I want to make sure that I'm not contributing to any more challenges that go on in my community or any more problems that go on in my community. Let me see what I can do to fix that. And so we go back and reach out to folks that we know once we have access to resources and say, let me plug you into some resources that can get you off the streets, because now I know where some of the things are that can help you get off the streets. Because people on the street don't want to be in the street. They
Mm-hmm.
just don't see any other options. They often don't feel that they have the cultural wherewithal to walk into some spaces and be accepted with all the traumas and the baggage that they've been carrying their whole life. So they say,
I
I
want to come
need
back to
to
that.
figure this out. And
I want to
so,
come back to that point.
yes, the trajectory from there is, all right, how do we keep our community safe? Now, after dealing with individuals and gang intervention and prevention, I started to realize that those connections can now be turned into something even bigger. So, how can we start looking at our community from a group perspective and start protecting our community from a group perspective? And this is where the concept of community led public safety comes in. community-led public safety is a practice across the nation. It's really big in New York. It's really big in Philadelphia. It's really big in Boston. You can look it up. And so we have a 4-layer strategy that started with Native Omaha days. And actually, one of the influences for this was Willie Barney. To be honest, Willie Barney reached out to me during Native Omaha days because his team was trying to figure out, while they were working with police, how can they keep the police from pepper spraying everybody at 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to tell them to get out of the middle of the street. And so we tried to recruit a lot of volunteers to come out there, and it was 2019, and it's just me and Willie Barney standing in the middle of the street at 2 o'clock in the morning arguing with the police department not to spray everybody with pepper spray in order to clear the road. And so I said, let us talk to the people. So I'm going out and I'm telling people, hey, y'all, let's move around. Let's get on the sidewalk so that the police don't come through here and spray everybody with pepper spray. And because of that, we started working on an initiative called Community-Led Public Safety. I didn't have a name for it at first. It was just I'd seen the need for it. And I said, let me get some volunteers, get some other people that can help me go out here. And during these big events, we can meet the people first. That the police aren't the first line of defense. They don't interact with our people. We interact with our people first so that they don't have to treat them the way that they normally would treat people, yell at them, threaten them, etc. And so when we started talking to the people, it just became more and more successful, that the people received us well and was like, yeah, we listen to you, brother, but we ain't listening to these people over here who seem like they got an attitude for us just hanging out. And so that turned into what I do now, which is community-led public safety. So for major events like Juneteenth, the Juneteenth parade, Native Omaha Days parade, and events, as well as OPS football game and basketball games, working with my brother at Code Z, Chrome, we have a small team of what we call community safety interventionists. Now, the process typically for events and for businesses is 4 layers. We have your volunteers who are well-trained and organized. First off, a well-trained and organized volunteer base is what you need to be the first line of defense when we talk about community safety. The second layer is a community safety interventionist group, which is a group of people who are trained in de-escalation, mediation, etc. The next layer would be a culturally competent security group like Raleigh Protection Group or others who can meet the people and not escalate things, but de-escalate things from a security perspective. And then if things get too far out of hand, you call in law enforcement for the enforcement side. So we have a 4-layer process of addressing community safety when we talk about potential violence or potential conflicts in our community.
Man, I appreciate that breakdown, and again, definitely stuck with us, and I do want to round back around to the response that you got from the Father's Day, not the Father's Day, but the Father's March, because it just illustrates the need for us as a community to protect ourselves in a way that even buffers us from the police, because we all know the history. We all know what it is with the police. Of course, there's some, people who have good intentions in the police force, but there's also the people who just are using the police force for what it has been used for.
Correct.
And I want to speak to that, the response that you got, because I do appreciate your post saying, don't forget, we are in Omaha. These are the people that are around you. And can you kind of just speak to that for the people who didn't see the post?
Yeah. So first, I want to shout out to KMTV for covering the story, because KMTV covered the story. It is the top performing post on their social media. We have over, I think, 11K likes and loves on that post. It's gotten thousands of views. People are really supporting the Black Fathers March. They really love what was done. So our community has an outpour of love and respect for the Black Fathers March. And there's a small margin of very insecure people who decided to get on a Facebook post of a woman who I'm very close to and started commenting on her short 20-second video a lot of racist things. And these are so-called white people. And there was one comment where a guy said, well, if a group of white guys got together, then you call it white supremacy. Well, number one, I don't believe in white supremacy. I call it the white inferiority complex, because there's nothing supreme about being insecure all the time. So when you are on a post on social media being a keyboard coward, then you're really not talking about anything. Meanwhile, we must address the fact that these were Black men walking down the street in their community celebrating. Literally just celebrating fatherhood. Didn't bother nobody. And some of the comments on the post were, they're using children as shields, and they're not really ready for war, and we're going to see you one day, and all kinds of posts like this. So when Black men who are fathers get together to walk down the street with their children, it's seen as an offensive thing by these very deranged individuals. And so I'm just speaking to that because it's important for us to recognize this concept of whiteness is an option for most so-called white people. Most so-called white people don't have to call themselves white. They know their ethnic origin. However, black people, we don't know our ethnic origin, so we identify as black because that's the name that was given to us, and we have accepted that for the moment being until we can reach back to who we really are. So it's a temporary thing for us, but for them, it's a choice. And so if you choose to identify as white and you choose to use that as the and as the antagonist to our blackness, then you are choosing racism, period. And that's what's really going on. So that's what's been the response is a couple of the racists came out the closet and decided to say how they really feel on fake Facebook accounts.
It's
There you
pretty
go.
par for the course. I often say that I go look at Channel 7's KETV their comments so I can remember where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, just in case I get too caught up in my own bubble, I want to remember what's around me. That's the thing. So I appreciate that. Kind of gave up on battling on the keyboard with these
Yeah.
cats a little bit. Like we've kind of pretty much shut that out from our platform altogether, so that's not a thing anymore. Because the goal is to get on the same page with like-minded people and not really be out here fighting folks on that level. So I appreciate that you chimed up, spoke up, and defended the sister and everything that had to go down there when it came to that. But it's really interesting to keep in mind. Keep in mind this is what people are putting it down, what they think, how they feel, and it also creates a little bit of sense of urgency as well. If black fathers are celebrating, walking down their neighborhood, celebrating being the fatherhood, and they're getting threats like that, then they got to understand that there's more that we need to do than just celebrate. We need to it's the praxis idea of turning these what we know into action, and being a part of that as well, and getting ready to be in defense of the community in whatever way we have to. So,
Yeah, exactly
Man.
that.
Man, speaking of that, I did want to jump into one last line of question. I don't know if you had any questions or wanted to jump to the chat.
go
In the
ahead.
meantime, Paul, are we good?
Yeah.
Because this also brings me to my last thing as far as the schools and what's going on with the schools. Though, speaking of practice, speaking of action, speaking of being, boots to the roots, if you will. Again, Brother Leo Lewis, you've been front lines with what's going on with our young folk and suspensions and OPS, specifically suspensions of young black boys and girls. And now the K through, I believe our K through second grade is now being returned in some schools in the Omaha area as far as suspensions. And again, this is something you fought directly, and this just speaks for me to the larger situation as far as the need for our own schools. Again, shout out to Dr. Darnicia Phillips and what she's doing with identity prep, and even naming it identity and recognizing that there's something in not just educating our young folk but reaffirming their identity in an educational space, which is something that they're not getting. So can you kind of speak to have you heard about this, again, them returning, some of these schools returning back to suspending kindergartners, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So a couple years back, we passed LB 632, which was to ban pre-K to second grade suspension across the entire state of Nebraska. Shout out to Senator Terrell McKinney for writing the legislation and just being in communication with me when that process was going through. And recently it was reversed, as we know, in 2025 by the state legislature. And so as soon as it was reversed, what's interesting is a lot of schools across the state of Nebraska hurried up and changed their policies to start suspending pre-K to second grade. Now, back when we got the actual legislation passed was because pre-K to second grade was among some of the highest rates of suspensions in the state of Nebraska. So you would think it'd be high school students, and actually it's not. It's the pre-K to second grade age group, which is the formative years where children are trying to learn their social development. And so that's the wrong thing to do, is actually to redirect them and correct them early so that they can learn what their mistake was and fix it, because they're heteronomous in their understanding, which is a psychological term of they need immediate response to anything they've done wrong. And unfortunately, the school system, with all the training that it does, didn't want to practice that. They just want to suspend kids for a day, 3 days, 5 days, to the point where they forget why they got suspended, come back and repeat the behavior, which causes problems for the teacher. But we don't want to, but the the Teachers Association didn't want to address the fact that these teachers are in classrooms with 30 students. Now, if you're a daycare owner, you're not supposed to have less than one staff per 10 children. But the schools will allow 30 students to be in a classroom with one teacher. Those teachers need help. Those teachers need at least 2 pairs per classroom. And then they'll say, okay, well, who's going to pay for it? Well, whoever's paying for all the juvenile justice work that goes into these kids having to be re-educated or corrected, so to speak, later on in life because they got started off with suspensions in pre-K to second grade. But let me say this, shout out to Matt Ray and the Omaha Public School Board, because they actually decided that they were not going to change their policy. They are going to continue to keep the ban on pre-K to second grade suspension in their policy, which they had the right to do before we even got legislation passed. They chose that they were not going to change their policies, and they're going to make sure that they do not suspend pre-K to second grade unless it's in a very egregious situation, like a child has a gun or something like that, and that child really needs some type of psychological intervention. But other than that, they said they're not going to change it. So really appreciate OPS for standing on that.
So to that point, if I'm hearing you correctly, that means that the other districts took it apart. Like, even though the law changed, they chose they're themselves choosing to implement this policy change to again go back
Correct.
to
Every district, every superintendent has the right to change, to make the policies the way they want to, which is what we were attempting to do before we passed the legislation in the first place. We tried to negotiate with the school system, and what we found is that many school systems weren't having it. They just decided they were going to keep things status quo, et cetera, including OPS at the time. But now, there's been a change in direction.
It's a good thing. OPS still holds most kids of color in the city, so that's encouraging to hear that. Kimmer Snipes been saying Matt Ray is on some real stuff, so I'm glad to hear that that's continuing.
Man, definitely. And is that something that you still plan on fighting as far as what the other schools are doing? Or I know initially your focus was on OPS. Is there any action with that?
Still monitoring it.
Okay.
Want to see how this year goes. It's very important that we just see if there's success and that the district sticks with what it says it's going to do for the school year, and then we'll reevaluate. But yes, we are going to go down and deal with this at the legislative level as well. But I know that might not be a priority considering Nebraska's budget issues, et cetera.
Yeah. Man, well, yeah, I mean, that pretty much does it for my line of questions, man. I do want to. There's an article you kind of sparked the thought as far as the sentiment that school is that preschool to prison pipeline, if you will, and Lincoln Journal Star is actually reporting on these seclusion rooms that they're using in schools. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I've heard of seclusion rooms. I'm not a fan at all.
It's
Any thoughts on that before we let you go?
Confinement is what it is.
It
Go ahead,
depends.
Paul. What'd you say?
It depends.
Go ahead, Leo. Sorry.
It depends on what certain, because different schools have a different idea of what they call seclusion rooms. For example, in OPS, they use what's called the PAC room, which is Positive Action Center, and they send kids to those. But there's multiple children in that room, and a PAC facilitator, typically a person who does not have to be a trained educator, but a person who tries to redirect the child and get them back into the classroom. So after they have a little time out, help them reassess the situation, send them back into the classroom. That could be considered a seclusion room. But then there's these other schools who have true isolation, where that child is by themselves in a room and they got to stay there for however long that person deems fit. So I'm not a fan because it can just be too up in the air about what it really means.
Yeah, I hear you, Paul. The whole.
Straight up
solitary. Right, exactly. The whole. That's not cool.
There's actually a lot of research on the psychological damage that isolation and things do, especially in the formative years for a young person. So yeah.
Before we get to, I kind of want to talk to you about what you got coming next. But before we get to that, I want to ask you about your collaborations, your partnerships. Your company. I know that you've been working, like you said, with Willie Barney a little bit on the Empowerment Network side. Any other Black organizations out here that you've been working with, kind of in the spirit of this kind of Black August revolutionary spirit of us coming together and making some real moves? What are some of the team ups that you've been able to get down with this last couple of years?
Yeah, right now I cannot disclose a future event that's about to come up
Okay.
until September.
Okay.
However, just know that we are gonna celebrate Black August in the blackest way in September. In
Okay.
September. In
That's what's up. Good
So
to hear.
yeah, so there I got some things in the work for that. Right now I am going to do a part 2 to Peace Outside. That'll be August 14th. So there will be more young people who are able to voice their opinion to civic leaders and city leaders to just talk about issues that they face down in Jean Leahy, downtown, and in their community abroad. So that will happen on August 14th. And that's anyone who wants to get involved and support our young people. I'll be putting out some fillers to work with some folks on that. So that's not stopping. There will be a follow up to the Black Fathers March as well. We'll have another Black Fathers lunch in because we didn't get enough information out on the panel. It was just so much rich information and not enough time. So we got to follow that back up. And then we'll be working on some other things with the Black Fathers. Definitely open to more collaborations. Right now it's just me making sure that things happen. I'm also, we've been talking at First Sky about some community journalism a little deeper. And so we're looking into making sure that actually takes off and comes to fruition. So
Yes, sir.
Word. And then I just saw that August 15th is going to be the actual Juneteenth parade. They had to push it back to August 15th. So
Yeah.
you're going to be out there with your group?
Yes, 100%. Yes. that's
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, that 4-tier thing is strong, man. I really
It is.
really did stick with us. Yeah.
Yeah. And not just because you Paul be the fourth either. No.
Right on. Yeah, that's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that, at these events and community and stuff that's happening in the community that people don't see that I am involved in. Just it ain't something to talk much about. It's about something to do. So if you see me in public, just know that most of the time I'm working. We getting it done.
Word.
Yeah,
Appreciate
just
that.
know if you're in an event and there ain't no problems, that's because somebody out there working.
That's
Make it
right.
happen.
That's
right.
true. That's very
Yes, sir.
true.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
just went to Southern California recently and went to Disneyland, and with this new thought, where I'm at in my head now, at this age, I'm looking around like, how did they wrangle out these people to everything be cool and everybody
Right.
spend money and there's no issues. You never see any issues happening, even though there's some issues, behind the scenes stuff goes on all the time, but you never see it. And and so and now I'm getting amazed when I see tens of thousands of people orderly getting in line and
Yeah.
all the things that happen. There's a science behind it,
Man.
and it's really interesting. Yeah. So again, just we can call it wins when we see Native Omaha Days go successful without any incident, and Juneteenth. The same thing and every other thing that happens, but I only see that happen when I see Brother Kasim and them out there, and when I see you passing out waters, and when I see I see the cops standing back, and that's when it feels like a successful event to me. So that 4-tier, that 4-tier approach is cold. I appreciate that. I appreciate it a lot. Yeah. Right on, man. I appreciate you last minute coming on the show and getting up early with us. Let's do it again soon, and we'll plan ahead this time too, so we can talk about events you got coming up, right before they come up and stuff like that. And before we get out of here too, congratulations on the sale of the film that just got sold to Independent Lens.
Oh yeah, my Omaha. Yeah.
One up
Oh,
Omaha.
yeah. Yep, that was Nick's deal. I mean, like I said, I'm just in the film. It's his film, but I know that comes with a lot of attention. It's literally putting Omaha on the map in a major way. Independent Lens provides PBS with a lot of their films, so it's going to be shown on PBS nationwide. Bring a lot more attention to our city. So hopefully the fools that's on social media understand that we have a greater opportunity. And I do want to say this on y'all platform. And I'm gonna be making a whole video about it here in a minute. Everybody's talking about racism and the nonsense. Understand that capitalism is ramping up and the technocracy is coming. Like, if we're not paying attention to what's really happening in our lifetime, we will miss it again. That capitalism is ramping up and the technocracy is coming. When you get a chance to look up the technocracy, look up the history of it, you'll understand that there's been a plan since 1927 for technology to rule human beings. And so while we having this conversation as a whole other conversation we should probably be exploring.
Yeah.
Man, let's talk about it. These data centers, these AI, this surveillance, these flock cameras, which is a new TikTok challenge going on. Look into that. But yeah, let's talk about it, brother. Let's talk about it.
with
Yes,
that.
sir.
Glad to hear you on it, man. We'll definitely have you
Hey,
back and talk about that stuff for sure.
Right on. Appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate you,
peace.
man. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Peace,
Peace.
peace, peace.
Hey.
Man, okay. Yeah, I appreciate you guys sticking around for the interview. If you missed any parts of it, go back and check it out on YouTube after the show. It's 8:19 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, appreciate everybody's comments. We're gonna dive into this chat. Lots of stuff going on in the chat for sure. I see that you guys were giving him some shout outs, giving him some good mornings. Kimber Snipes, appreciate that. Black Dynamite in the chat. We'll definitely dive in. I see Marlon Harrison saying, "Good morning, brother Leo," and yeah, just appreciate everybody that stuck around and had some comments and things to say here that we'll dive into when we get back from the break. Stay tuned. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B. He's Buddy to God. We'll
Hey.
be right back, y'all. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B. He's Buddy to God. Boy, we are
Hey.
fighting through some being tired today. I'm gonna just
Man,
be honest with you.
tired, boss. Little fog brain.
Man, we woke up this morning like, man, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tough one this morning, but we gonna keep on trying to do what we do because this is the thing. So now that we are down to 1 day a week having to get up, it seems extra hard to do that now. Like the 1 day we got to get up early. Yeah. So
Man, getting back to the swing of things.
got to get back to the swing of things. Before we jump into the comments, I just wanted to talk about one more win. Shout out to Lavon Stennis Williams.
Hey.
For those know her in the community, she just won the African American Leadership Award, or she's a honoree, a spotlight for the African American Leadership Awards that's coming up August 22nd, presented by Urban League of Nebraska. So shout out to her. They had some words that they put down. They said, as CEO Reconnect Inc., Lavon has dedicated her career to equipping individuals, families, and businesses with the skills they need to grow, not just for a season, but for a lifetime. Her work is rooted in something real, the belief that lasting change begins when people are truly empowered to lead their own lives. That kind of impact does not go unnoticed. So they're going to celebrate that. Leave a comment to congratulate Lavon, share the post, and continue to build some legacy with the kind of work that she's doing over there. And just a side note on that too, she is housed over there at the Center Mall on Center Street. That and I kind of thought, she's one of the black businesses that's over there kind of thriving. We got a couple of them. Our tax person is over there. Shout out to Miss Juanita.
Hey.
And also our brother Wells Lavelles over there as well. There's
Big
a few
elk.
folks, yeah, man, big elk. So there's a few people over there in that center building. We've been talking about that space that has been sold or is getting sold, and people are gonna have to move. I believe she's 10,000 square feet of space over there that she's working with.
Really?
And yeah, she's got a huge, a pretty big situation going over there, and has been doing a lot of good work. And I actually went over there to go to talk to her. I didn't get a chance; she wasn't in, but it was just on my mind. Like maybe we should be on the lookout for some spaces with all this new stuff coming up, like the Inland Port Authority areas and some of the new construction. People who are doing that kind of boots on the ground good work needs everybody looking out for them as far as that's concerned. Now I haven't talked to her, so I don't know if she's looking for space or if they got something lined up or any of that. I was just thinking to myself, we should highlight the kind of work that they're doing over there and just recognize they're in the center mall. So that might means they have a big move, big shakeup coming one way or another, and be on the lookout. So if anybody is connected to her or that organization, I'd love to hear from you. Hit us up on firstsky@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on the Friends of First Sky Omaha group page on Facebook. And let's make sure that we not only give her some flowers, but help see what we can do to help continue the work in any way possible that she got going on over there. And we'll do some highlighting of what business she is in and what she does as well. So I just wanted to give a shout out, a win, and put that in you guys' ear as well. And now I'm going to jump a little bit into some of the comments. There's been a lot of comments happening, man. We've been talking about Black August. This is Black August. We talked about it a little bit more. If you missed what Black August is, we'll be talking about it throughout August, but you can always go back earlier in the show and find out the definition. Anthony Rogers Wright is talking about George Jackson. Says George Jackson is the heart of Black August. Those who have never read Blood in My Eye need to get the book and get down with it. Brother George started the fight against mass incarceration. So here's another book, another book recommendation. That's what I'm saying, man. Hey, just saying. Stacey Jean gives us a good morning, First Guy and friends. I appreciate you very much. So also, Miss Erica Phelps says family that you choose is so important. This is, I feel like this is what this is. I feel when we talk about First Guy fam, this is family we choosing. The one blood family I have is an elderly uncle in Portland, and the two children I made is I have been blessed with family that have chosen me and now and are now stuck.
Man, right. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. The village, as you will.
Most definitely. And also, she's in the First Sky fam. She bought one of Pop's books. That's what's up. Appreciate that. Jamal Benden is in the chat. Good morning. Another news gang brother that is doing some big things. Go check out his podcast over there as well, man. Moore does some big things. When someone participates in book clubs, what measurable changes occur for the negative demographics among Africans? Love to hear some stats on that, because I've only been thinking in terms of we all are taking in something and discussing it and getting on the same page in our little small book group. But yeah, what does that do for the larger community when you have several book groups around? I'd love to hear some studies on that for sure. Interesting. Pop says Omaha has been noted as a barbecue city back in the day. Preston Love put out an album called Omaha Barbecue back in the day.
What? Really? It's an album called Omaha Barbecue.
You know what? I just the vision of the album cover just flashed in my mind with him with a apron on with holding some utensils. I remember this album cover.
What?
Okay, we have to dig in. By the way, I got a call from Brother Preston Love last week. He's got something coming up and wants to come on the show, so we'll be talking to him next week. And don't let me forget to ask him about that barbecue album. That's what's up. That's what's up. Also, let's see in the chat. Anything else standing out there for you, buddy? Jump in anytime.
Okay.
Mr. Eric Phelps says it's important that everyone share this work after the fact. Traditional media would have it look like a whole in order to entertain their hateful comment sections. You ain't lying. That march was, as a matter of fact, I got a lot of information about that march from the fathers that were in the march. They were posting, they were live streaming at the time. So it was a beautiful look from their perspective in a big way. Definitely pass on the information with your social media platform as well, for sure. She says, I've told new fathers over the years, your time is more valuable than a dime. Of course, financial support is necessary, but when the financial isn't in order, fathers still must be considerably there or consistently there. And it's interesting that you're saying that too, because I know from talking to a lot of fathers myself that sometimes we get to feeling like our only worth is when we are providing or when we're doing something. And if we can't, why even be around? Sometimes we are made to feel that way. Sometimes we feel that way. So I appreciate you being, you recognizing that tell them, even if you can't, even if the money ain't right, it's still valuable for you to be here. I think that would really help a lot of brothers out because I know we walk around all the time feeling like we ain't worth anything unless we producing, and that's a shame.
Man, that's yeah. That's man. Shout out to brother. Man, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but Beyond the Stigma, brother.
Mm, Johnny
Johnny
knows
No Good. Yeah. Giving the brothers a platform to kind of release some of that mental tension, if you
That's real.
will.
I feel pretty lucky that I grew up in a family that showed me my worth had more to do than just what I was producing, what I was doing.
Man,
I could
goes a long way.
do nothing and still be supported and loved, and I know that's not common.
Yeah, I mean, man, it means a lot to have friends who just love you for you. You know what I mean? For just existing. You know what I mean? So it's a
Mhm.
beautiful thing. A beautiful thing. Also, a shout out to brother Jahisha Baz in the chat, kind of going along those lines. He says, "White supremacy will die a natural death when black males decide to be black men. The black male being arrested in his development is akin to the body having a compromised immune system." Talking about again the
Ooh,
youth suspensions, the preschool to prison pipeline, kind of this if you remember the 13th documentary, you get that criminal stigma put on you. And I mean, I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with was it the Stanford experiment. The
mhm.
Stanford experiment was a psychology professor's experiment with his students, and some assume that he set up a fake prison in the basement of the psychology department at Stanford University. Some of the students were given the role of security guard. Some of the students were given the role of prisoner. And even though it was an experiment, there's a film about it. There's a documentary about it. Definitely check it out. You see when a person is given a certain role and those roles are reinforced within society, they assume their role. That's just the natural mental programming that goes on until you get another program presented to you and get that mental reprogramming. So
Very
it
true.
goes a long way. Goes a long way.
It even starts earlier. It starts when you're a kid. If you get told that you bad all the time, this is what we
Yeah.
always are talking about. I remember my cousins and some of my family having a big discussion about that because they always were acting. If you're a boy, you bad. So he's just a little bad boy. You start from a very young age, and it's been proven psychologically. Psychological tests that they've proven that you are always going to be try to be true to who you think you are, and if you think that you're
Mm.
bad, then you're gonna always try to live up to that, and so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when they call little bad boys bad, they grow up bad. Just what it is. So and then that happens throughout our whole life. Hence Stanford experiment. So this is something that has to do with like belief in your people, and belief in who you think you are, and how much your people around you influence who you think you are, which is also tied into the chosen family, because you usually choose family who think that you're pretty great, and you think that they pretty great too, and you guys can reinforce that with each other. So a lot to it, a lot to it. I like to see how this works. To to the point in the chat earlier, I like to see how this works on a bigger scale, not just the book club, but just everything we're talking about here. Just the found family, the chosen family, the experiment on who it is that you think you are and how that affects what you do on the larger community. But I know on this compact community that we have here, on the chosen few that we talk to here, and have and grown the family, not just the chat chimers, but also the ghost listeners around town, just the people that are kind of in like mind. What that does for us to be able to we have to big each other up in that way in order to get to the point where we are feeling like we can make some kind of a difference, and we are valuable to each other as well to be able to do that. So interesting
Man.
stuff, psychological stuff to definitely dive into, and just stuff that happens just because you're living alive with one another on a regular basis. It just happens naturally without you having to put too much thought into it. It just goes down that way. So
That's what
that's
it's
what's
about.
up. We were talking earlier a little bit too about the separation of the classes when Brother Leo Lewis was on. Tony Johnson around that time said, or they are actually shunned by the community. I made a comment about how on our side sometimes people that they can kind of consider lower class, economically lower class people don't want to hang out with the bougie people who they think are selling out and so on. Tony Johnson says, or they are actually shunned by the community. I think, like I said, it goes both ways
Hmm.
because they are from somewhere else or live outside North Omaha. I've seen that go both ways. Interesting. Okay.
Man.
Anthony Rogers Rice says, Tony, great point. The imposter syndrome culture is real. Culture is real AF. So there you go. I appreciate your guys' comments on that. They're right. That's a whole show. That's a whole show to dive into that situation in a big way. Appreciate your comments. I don't think I'm gonna get to all of them. Oh, Marlon
Oh
here
yeah.
says it was a great march. He's out there for the Father's Marches. Hopefully, more people will come out next year.
Hey, thank
Cool,
you.
cool. Appreciate that. Also, oh, okay. I'm finding some more way down the
Yeah,
way here.
chat's been going off.
Yeah, Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning. Good morning to you. Appreciate that very much. Let's see how anything relevant here. Heather Williams gives us a good morning. Appreciate you coming in. Anything else you're seeing over here, buddy? We can jump into real quick.
Yeah, well, I did want to kind of expound on the point that we're making, and I do appreciate Sister Erica Felt giving us her professional expertise and opinion as far as the preschool to prison pipeline and the seclusion rooms we were talking about with Brother Leo Lewis. She says that it's against child care licensing to seclude a child, separate them from their peers, and
Mm,
again, um, that can go a long way at, as you're saying, really dictating how a child views themselves and try to fulfill that prophecy as they grow older. And going back to this idea of this capitalist separation and this classism that exists in many cultures, not just black culture. You talk about how the Irish were treated early on in American history, or just other cultures. Like it is a thing, but it's specifically for black culture, it is interesting, that dynamic as far as access to capital, access to the capital system, and resources in this country, and stand true to yourself. But I do think we talk about action, and one of the conversations that I've been hearing recently, and just the cultural sphere, if you will, is in the on the heels of this not Carmelo, but oh, I'm drawing a blank. The brother out of Mississippi that just lost his life, Nolan Wells. The Nolan Wells conversation, and the sentiment of people from a lower income community going out, finding some kind of success, and then moving out of that community, going into living in a community where they might become the minority in that community, and how historically that my child goes to a good school and all that, how that has become a badge of honor. And the cultural conversation now shifting to maybe that's not the badge of honor. You know what I mean? Your child having to deal with racism, and your child having to not have their cultural identity recognized, and always being othered. And I've been in spaces where can I getting the can I touch your hair questions, and
mm.
any black issue, you now become the spokesperson in the room for everything that's all black. Um, it's a thing. It's a thing. So having that is not necessarily the badge of honor that it has always been talked about, at least throughout time. And I'm seeing a cultural conversation as far as getting back to those that class, those who are dentists, those who are doctors, those who are other professional class, coming back to the community, so that our young folk can see that they're not whatever it is that they're being told. They're not the scammers. They're not the booster. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like some other imagery, and that goes a long way as far as us coming back to our communities and not abandoning our communities, and also to the brother's point, us accepting each other, based regardless of class, and quote unquote background, if you will.
Well, it seems like an impossibility to me because as soon as you say there's class, and then that means there's class divides, and the whole nature of having classes is to divide.
Hmm.
I don't know how you bring different classes together in that sense. We got to start from a we black, or we fathers, or
Hmm.
we're something other than any of these classes in the first place. So yeah, finding that common ground, I think is extremely important as well. So yeah, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate what you mean there. Oh man, there was something I was gonna say that was I'm lost. I lost it. I lost it. I got caught up in another thought. But no, I appreciate where you're coming from with that. I definitely think that's something that we have to remind ourselves. We have to kind of keep going and remind ourselves every time. So I appreciate it. Jump in the chat real quick again. Wanda Lewis, you guys are giving Leo some props here. I respect the fact that he lends himself to multiple organizations in order to achieve positivity and peace within the community in an orderly manner. Appreciate that. Also, Miss Erica Fell says, we know and you are appreciated by more folks than you may think. Appreciate that. When we see you connecting, we know the water is just a tool. Yeah, so you even see the strategy there. I love that on that very much. Also, by the time I said, I'm with y'all. I'm being tired, boss. Heard that. Heather Williams was talking about Levon Stennis Williams, I believe, says she runs Mama's Attic out of there as well. That's cool. Yeah, we're gonna dig into
Man,
the
send them on.
business. Send them
Send them
on.
on.
Yep. 5-star BDM brand development says let's celebrate Black excellence. Okay.
Hey.
Oh, I know what I was gonna. I just remember what I was gonna talk about. This FD signifier talks a lot about this. He talks a lot about what you were just mentioning about. It maybe it's not a great idea. He also has the same kind of thought when it comes to the brother that lost his life. When you see pictures of like that brother and other people who a Black person is in this group of white folks, it's almost like this kind of they don't know something in their eyes. It's hard to explain, but I always feel like, how do you not feel skeptical that you're in a situation, and you're not, because you're so used to being, he calls it the fly in the milk syndrome. FD signifier, fly in the milk, and it's when you're in when you're the obvious Black standout in this white space, you're always on. You're always the character, the star, the one that's standing out in the show, and you are in the way that they have made you kind of the mascot, makes you feel part of that situation. And if you don't have a whole bunch of other Black folks around you that are saying otherwise, that are saying look around, that are saying no, we don't do things quite like this. I've been in situations like that before too, where it was, we out with our white boy friends, and they want to do something wild, and the Black folks like, no, we don't do that. And it reminded me, yeah, that's right, we don't do that. y'all do that. Y'all do what you do. But I've also been in situations where I was the only Black guy there with a bunch of white folks, and it was like, oh, well, this is what we're doing, and you can it's easy to get caught up in that feeling. Like, he got his arms around them cats like he ain't one of it, like he's one of them. And you can see from the picture that it feels that they, you know what I'm saying, like
feels othered.
Yeah, and FD signifier talks about that. It comes from this idea that when you put your kid over on this side of town, and you say he's going to this better school, he's going to be around these white folks to get this real education, it's more of a detriment than it is than the education is secondary to the experience of being there and not having a reinforced situation. If you don't have a bunch of Black folks around you, if you don't have people in your culture around you, then you are automatically going to start acting as you're a part of this other culture. You have no other recourse.
It's what you know.
It's what you know. It's what you see. Is how you survive. It's how you problem solve. It's how you thrive in a situation. It's all those things. You have no choice. And so then, in like I said, if you don't have what you have reinforced, if you don't have a strong family unit at home, or you don't have a strong family of Black friends, for instance, all this stuff is part of that. So yeah, that's why we talk more about from the last generation talked more about integration than this generation talks about. Because we're seeing that. And one more personal thought about that too is, like, I didn't really know nothing about HBCUs growing up in California. I was in my teenage years before I even found out there was all Black colleges. And then I think when I got wind of it is when Different World chimed up the show, and to watch A Different World and be like, oh, okay. So, everything that we do that's Black is getting, that's the norm around here now. You walking around where that's the norm, and it's reinforced without it being, overtly reinforced. It's just the culture. It's just what it is. And now something that comes in that seems wild is othered. Now that's kind of othered a little bit. Like, if you got somebody from another culture coming in doing something different than what the norm is around you in a HBCU, it stands out. And I'm sure that you could talk to that having gone to an HBCU, the difference between being in a space where you're the fly in the milk and being in a space where you're around, where who you are is the norm. and what that how that is it makes it a safe space. I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it made a world of difference. It made a world of difference, and went a long way in me finding who I am, and as a person, and kind of reaffirming my journey. And I wouldn't change that experience for anything. For anything. So yeah, it definitely goes a long way. Getting that cultural education, just learning who you are as a people, as a person, and knowing that you do belong to a people, because that is a thing.
Yeah.
That is a thing. Mitochondrial DNA. We can get into how deep you want to get into it, but it's a thing. You can't disconnect yourself from that, no matter how hard you try.
A lot of times on this show, you hear us say "quote unquote" black or "quote unquote" white because we recognize that there is no black and white. These are all constructs they put together to
Man.
separate us in the first place. But I also I really appreciate where Leo is coming from with finding an identity in a nationless nation as well, which is the reason why I've always kind of really stuck to black. I didn't have any words for it, any reason behind any conscious way that to explain what it is until I heard him say that on this interview that just passed about what that is. This is how we're gonna get together. When I think about it, when I think about black folks getting together, that's what I immediately go to. We're black folks getting together and doing black people things, and yes, we know that black isn't real. We know it's a construct, but it is a identifier for our cultural togetherness that we can use now until in what did he say until we figure out where we actually came from or what the actual nation is.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I really appreciate that. Moving on from there. So anyway, just wanted to bring that out. Appreciate you guys letting me get on my soapbox and let's kind of deep dive in here. But this is the reason why we got 3 hours. We can deep dive a little bit on this
Yeah, man.
on these subjects. 8:46 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, Pops in the chat says I studied that case in psychology class. Those people started wilding out. Became like they were really in prison, and the guards got brutal, and the inmates became subservient. Talking about the Stanford experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Says I have a dear friend who was isolated as a child, and it created problems they still suffer from. It was devastating. Can't be isolating children, man. Even the system says it's against the law to be isolating children like that. Marlon Harrison says, I feel like in Omaha, people move out to North Omaha for many different reasons. Some safer neighborhoods, some for better housing, some for cleaner communities. Like they move out of North Omaha for many different reasons. That's interesting. I moved into North Omaha because I felt like it was safer than where I was at.
Man.
But I hear what you're saying. He says, for my family, my parents moved west of 72nd. We need a house with more space. First of all, black folks all over Omaha.
Yeah.
That's been going on we haven't been subjugated to North Omaha legally since I think it was the 80s when the red line stuff finally went away.
Mm.
Miss Erica Phelps says open children are arriving at Play School House. Time to get to loving and teaching some preschoolers to be great community members, drink water, and be kind to yourselves. Appreciate you coming through and appreciate you taking care of them babies. Heather Williams says they have a way of reminding you who you are. They have a way of reminding you who you are. Well, who's the they? Well, I know that we were probably when you said that we were talking about something. Remind me who the they is that you're talking about. She says real quick. It was hard for me to find a house that could be licensed for childcare in North Omaha in my price limitations. Something to think about as well. Yeah. Also, she says, I feel like some black people feel like if you don't fit into the black stereotype, you're not truly black. A lot of black folks are very much white, white culture. There's no way you can live here and not be influenced by what the majority of the people around say. You have to actively fight against that type of situation. You have to actively fight against that way of thinking. And some people just don't have it in them to do that. They think just like white folks think about it sometimes. Heather Williams says, my son just came home from camp with some white kids. I didn't want him to go, but he insisted. I made sure I had some conversations with all the adults when I dropped him off. It's a shame we got to do all that, but man, is what it is. I really hope that we can get some other things happening like camps for other kids so that they can want to go to the different kinds of camps. I'll just say it like that. Tony Johnson
Yeah,
says North Omaha has its own interpretation of grading scales of blackness that is so much different from other black communities I've traveled to. Several layers to why we as a community operate.
definitely.
I can see that. I can definitely see that myself as well. Traveled and lived all around the world. Definitely see that there's a different kind of black uh, uh, a disregard for blackness here that from black people too, and
Mhm.
everybody else that I haven't seen elsewhere. Black Dynamite says I remember learning about the Stanford Project at UNO. Yeah, it's wild. Heather Williams says I told them he will keep his phone on him, and they better return my baby the way they dropped him off. He came home on Sunday the way I dropped him off. That's what's up.
Man, that's a beautiful thing. There's actually a story going on right now of a sister who dropped her son off at a swim camp, and the first day he drowned. So there's the investigation going on. Only black kid at the whole swim camp, and yeah, there's more and more stories kind of along those lines coming up around the nation, which is kind of sparking some of these feelings and thoughts and conversations. And I do want to get back into the catharsis and what praxis was that the word?
Yeah.
I do want to get into that in the third hour, but there are actually a few other stories I wanted to dive into while we're talking about the Sanford Project, the experiment, and although I use that example to apply it to the youth, I'm also thinking about how that applies to our elderly folk as well,
Mm.
especially when you think about how some of them responded to the whole situation about the towers. Getting into that, if you didn't know, there's a situation going at a Pine Street apartment. Shout out to Sister Erica Felt, who was just in the chat. Also, Brother Sherman Wells, who just shared it on social media on Friends of. There's apparently been in the last week or so, there's been 3 instances alone of flooding in apartments at the Pine Street Apartments, as you see on your screen. Shout out to the gentleman that shared it. But I think about this because if you remember, when we when doing with the what was it, Dundee
Mm-hmm.
Towers, and what, Brother Lee?
Mm-hmm. Lasani Lee.
Yep, Brother Sonny Lee. Thank you. I was trying to remember his first name, but Brother Lee and his father. Again, Brother Lee had to advocate for his father because his father didn't want to chime up, and we learned that there were a lot of elderly people who were in those situations who just kind of accepted their reality. You know what I mean? They didn't want to chime up. They didn't want to cause too much trouble. They didn't want to um be an inconvenience.
Well, they didn't want to get kicked out. Where do you go if you're in the towers that you how can you afford to move? So they didn't want to get kicked out. That's the reason why they weren't speaking up, because they were retaliating like that against them. It's the Underwood Towers that we were talking about. The Underwood
Yes.
Towers
Thank you.
situation.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact, I think one of our assistants told me that Brother Hassani Lee reached out. We'll have to go dig out his correspondence to see what he got going on there. But yes, Heather Williams says OHA needs to be dealt with for real, for real, for real. Yeah, man. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and jump into that article. We appreciate you guys hanging with us through the second hour, 8:52 right now. If you believe in the concept of time. And again, we really appreciate everybody who's joined us and is in the conversation right now. Do us a favor, if you're on Facebook, share the show on your page. We still have another hour and 8 minutes or so to have these conversations. We stay on till 10 o'clock today. It is a 3-hour show on Monday from now on, and then we skip Wednesdays, and then we do a in the evening show. The weekly rap show happening on Fridays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So don't forget that. Mark that on your calendars. Hit the bell on YouTube, all that good stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff that I got to say, because we do this kind of work on these kind of platforms. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that typical stuff. But it does really help for you to do that and become a member of the channel and be a person that knows when we are about to broadcast some things. It's not just the Monday and Friday things that we're working on. We got other things during the week that we are dropping as well. So stay tuned for some of those things. And you want to be able to hit the bell and know when they're coming. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. We'll jump back into the conversation into talking about this tower situation. Not Spaces the Place season right just quite yet, but it's all connected.
Man,
we'll be right back. Brother Jay Hanna, I see you. I hope that you stay to the end, because I finally got you on the scroll up. We'll talk soon. We'll be right back. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Hey, Paul B, buddy, you got. welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. First Sky
Hey,
Omaha in the morning.
in the morning.
All B, buddy to God. Teamwork
Yes,
makes
yes.
dream work. Season 5B. What we're talking about. That's what all these things are about for us. The teamwork. First of all, getting together, and then the making part is the praxis part. We got to make
Yeah.
the dream work. Can't just get together as a team and talk about the dream. Got to make it happen. So let's make it happen. And this is what all these things are leaning towards. So let's get to the next thing because it is all wrapped up in this as well. So
Yes,
we
yes.
appreciate you guys being here, buddy. What's next on the agenda?
Yeah, man. Talking about the teamwork, making things happen, and one of those things that we have seen, teamwork come together is housing. Again, not just we talked about at the top of the show with the city view and everybody coming out, giving food to brothers and sisters living at that location, helping them move when it came time to move out, but also amplifying each other's voice. And again, we might need that same situation here again. And now coming out of Pine Tower, brother Richard Ruzicka shared on Facebook calling for help. And again, shout out to those like Miss Erica Felt, brother Sherman Wells. That is teamwork when we elevate each other's voice and we bring awareness to what we're dealing with, because a lot of times people do go unheard, and voices go silent. So again, shout out to Richard for first of all speaking up, because again, as we mentioned earlier before the break, there was the intimidation factor, and especially with these tower situations, as Sister Erica Felt put, a lot of people don't have any other options, and most of the time are disabled, elderly, and do fear retaliation and being kicked out, and then also not wanting to be inconvenienced. But what they're dealing with in itself is an inconvenience. The bed bugs, the roaches, and now in the case of Pine Tower, flooding. Again, Brother Richard says, my apartment is not the only apartment that has flooded. Address 1500 Pine Street Tower. He says, my apartment has flooded 4 times in less than a week. So that's pretty much every other day his apartment is flooding. He says, legal aid won't help us. Douglas County Health and Human Resources is the only help I've gotten so far. People's health and well-being is at risk. The people who live at Pine Tower need help badly. If someone could suggest someone that could help us, I would greatly appreciate it. He says, please, I'm begging. People at Pine Tower are in desperate need of help. He also shares his phone number. And again, shout out to Sister Erica Felt, our brother Sherman Wells, who again shared this post with the video and picture. Sister Erica Phelps says people live in the towers because, again, they usually have no other options. The fact that they are forced to live with flooding, bed bugs, roaches, no heat or air conditioning much of the time, and some units just plain no AC unless they can provide their own window unit. And my mother lived there, and I know one of her friends still living there over 30 years. We have to do at least the minimum for our elderly and disabled. And again, shout out to those who are holding OHA accountable. OHA, again, one of the main, property managers and culprits of this. A lot of the, residents in these on vouchers, on public housing. So, yeah, here we are again. Regulators, mount up.
Yeah. Brother Jahan in the chat said Hassani, Hassani Lee back in court. That was late July. So we need to catch back up with them, see how that went, and get back in touch as well. So shout out to I think, like I said, I think one of our assistants said that we got a message in from Brother Hassani Lee. He's probably telling us about this court date, and we just missed it. So we'll have to get back in touch with him and see what he needs there on that end. But as you can see, the fight's still going on. How long has Brother Hassani Lee been going back and forth to court now? 2-3 years. Years. And this is just going to be one of these ongoing things. We were talking about Underwood Tower before. Now we're talking about Pine Tower now, and all the towers, of course, have some problems and some situations. So this is, again, we really kind of feel like what you're supposed to be doing as the owners of the building is keeping it bed bug and roach and flood free. But it always seems like they let things go to a tipping point until people have to chime up about what's going on, and they do it after suffering with it because they don't want to cause a ruckus to get kicked out. And so they'll live with these conditions for months until it just becomes unbearable. and some for years, and some just are have resigned that they're just gonna keep living with them because they don't want to speak up. So it's been tough. It has absolutely taken the teamwork of outside folks to chime up and make a fuss more when it comes to this type of thing. But if you can remember, Miss Erica, I think it was Miss Erica Felt. I think it was no, I think it was Miss Kimra Snipes. I think it was Miss Amy no Amy Dot.
Oh yeah, Huffless or not Huffless.
This, yeah, and a few others that went to the towers early on, got in over having some relatives in there and being able to kind of knock on some doors to see what was happening. That was the first instance to me of like what this platform can maybe do is we can kind of draw some folks together and go take some action on some things, and they did. And then the second time they tried to go, the OHA had already decided they were banned from coming in because of course they don't want them in there talking to the tenants and and seeing the conditions. Sherman Wells as well. There's a lot of folks that went down to the towers to see if they can help. And then of course the situation with Hassani Lee, who had his father was in the Underwood Towers and he's his father's caretaker, so he was able to be in there and see what was happening. And it got so big that I remember Channel 7 did a whole kind of puff piece about the towers and how everything was okay, and they had all these working computers in the lobby and wasn't as bad, and if there's anything that was wrong, then it was the tenants who were dirty, and they they had that whole situation. If you remember, Miss Kimber Snipes hit Brother Chapman up over there. I think was he on Channel 6 or Channel 7, one of them, and she was like, "What's up with this story?" He was like, "Hey, they told me that we had to do it." Okay. So, they plugged into the city, they plugged into the media. They're doing a lot in order to tell the story that it's not so bad at the towers. But we hear from the people. The people do stuff like this. The people bring receipts.
Man,
You don't think there's flooding? There's water on the floor. Here it is, and this brother's calling for some kind of help. So we'll definitely continue to look into this as well. Some of the people that we've made some friends with over the course of us reporting on these things, we'll have to call them, tap in, see if he's getting the help he needs, and raise some more ruckus over this. We're talking about another OHA controlled property that the tenants that are living in it are complaining. Here we are again.
Yeah, this isn't the first time. They've had some elevator issues. They've had some mold issues. Pine Tower has been a problem location for a while, and residents have been calling out. So again, big shout out to those who are elevating this problem. And yeah, man, shout out to Tamara Dwyer while we're talking about teamwork makes the dream work. Of course, she's the homeless coordinator for the city of Omaha. But not just dealing with homelessness, but she also activates in these situations where people who do have homes are still dealing with safety and health issues. So yeah, let's look into what other organizations are stepping up. Of course, Douglas County Health did get a shout out in the post from Brother Richard. So shout out to them for doing their job. But hey, obviously the people, the team, got to stay on top of it.
Man, and Anthony Rogers Wright talking about a higher level on this fight. He says the consent decree with MOPA, MOPOA, needs to be vacated. The mayor needs to stop talking about it and end it. Speaking of praxis. So there you go. I think that decree has to do with this is a kind of organization of landlords that kind of got together to kind of fight back against tenants tripping, which is crazy. Landlords' rights type of situations. This consent decree. If you don't know what the consent decree from MOPOA is, let's dig back into it and look at it again and maybe make some calls. We will have some monthly meetup with the mayor. We can talk to him about that when he comes on again, and we can see how that can be vacated. I think is I agree with you on that one. I think that needs to be vacated. There needs to be some regulation, and it doesn't need to come in the form of these proactive landlords that are trying to circumvent some of the complaints. Also, I'm wondering if Omaha Housing Authority is part of that. I'm not sure if they are. It might be something separate, but whatever it is, it's city and state when it comes to Omaha Housing Authority. So we need to have need to be a different conversation, but I'm not sure. We'll look into it.
Yeah. Again, MOPA, Metro Omaha Property Owners Association, and kind of the Palandinos out there, if you know what I mean.
but that's what I mean. Can OHA be is OHA a part of that? Can they be? Is that's some of the problem? We're talking about the towers that have to do with OHA mostly when we are reporting on these things. So it might be a whole different fight, different entity, but still, they're not the only ones that have some bad landlord stuff going on around town. So yeah, feel that.
Yeah. And throughout the season, that kind of goes back to this whole private public partnership conversation, because there are some properties where it's a mix. I think that was the City View situation where some of those residents were OHA residents on vouchers, and some of the residents were just tenants that were paying the property owners, but all still dealing with the same conditions.
There you go. It is 9:05 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we appreciate you guys hanging with us to the third hour. We're now inside of the third hour for First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
And I appreciate everybody's comments and everybody sticking with us throughout the whole course of time too. And I will say, I hope that RG and Black Dynamite are still here. Y'all gonna have to be the two that stay through the third hour. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. Y'all gonna. I want you better say your goodbyes at the end of the third hour around here.
Hold it down.
Gotta hold it down. Shout out to Marlon Harrison who gave us a report on something that was cool that just happened to Empowerment Network too. Step Up program. This is a win. Step Up 2026. So today, North Omaha. This was on July 30th. Today, North Omaha celebrates the talent, creativity, and determination of more than 100 Step Up Omaha participants. 2026 Step Up Omaha Summer Showcase brings young people, families, mentors, and community partners together for an afternoon of hands-on demonstrations, inspiring stories and youth achievement. Come see what our young people created, learned, and accomplished over the summer through Step Up Omaha. So shout out to them for continuing to do that good work on Step Up. Shout out to Marlon Harrison, man on the street. Got some shots. Go to First Sky Omaha. Go to the Friends of First Sky Omaha page on Facebook and see Marlon Harrison's photo report on here for, or is that Marlon's or is that Empowerment's? One of them. Somebody's reporting on this. I want to see the kids in action and some of the things that they're working on. So definitely go over there and check it out. But I appreciate you posted this, Marlon Harrison. I appreciate Empowerment Network for doing this. And I was wondering about the 2026 Step Up kids. So 100 Step Up participants this time around. I know they're trying to get to 1,000 Step Up kids at some point. So they're working on it. Keep on working on it. If you have any kids that you think might benefit from that as well, then definitely check them out. This is this happens every summer. So summer vacation, they get some summer jobs and projects and so on, right?
Yeah, I actually did hear a report that they are trying to expand that to year round, actually. So
that'd be
I
cool.
have to look into that.
Mm-hmm. Shout out. So there you go. There's another win for the community. Love to tap one of these kids to find out how Step Up affected them. I think we've talked to some people in the chat about that. But it seems to be a good program for certain people, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of good programs for kids and youth and certain people, we were reaching out to Brother Kasim for him to come on and talk about some of the work that he's doing as well. When it comes to these kids, man, the Survival Club and everything he's got going on. Also, the way that he has been employing folks in his two successful businesses. He's been chiming up about it since the mayor talked about this being kind of the year of the entrepreneur. Brother Kasim has talked about it as well. So it's time to catch up with Brother Kasim on all fronts, all efforts. We need to have him on several times, as a matter of fact, because we always talk to him about so many different initiatives and projects and things that's happening. We got to talk to him about what we talked to Leo Lewis about today: safety in our neighborhood, safety in our community, safety at events. He's part of that 4-pronged safety situation as well. And so we'll definitely tap in with him, and also some of the other things that's been going on. So the successes that's happened over the course of time when it comes to events, especially that he's been a part of securing, and how safe we feel when him and his security team is around for events. What his thoughts are about curfews and these things that are coming up. Shout out to Councilwoman Lavanya Goodwin, who is pushing for, making sure that there's, everything that's been happening has been happening like after 2 a.m. She wants to shut some of that down. How do you do that? Her idea is a curfew. Let's talk to some other folks about other ideas and see what we can come up with on that. So that's coming up. Stay tuned for a conversation with Brother Kasim. He's on my agenda to try to get with and all that good stuff. And we'll be talking to him very soon. I'm going to go ahead and jump into a quick break again, and then we'll jump back into the conversation. It's going to be a loose third hour. Get ready to have some deeper conversation on some of these issues. We appreciate everybody who's been in the chat so far. Miss Erica Field, I thought she was gone. She said this summer jobs often lead to permanent jobs. You got that right.
Hey.
That's the point.
Right,
and if
right.
you can get mentors like 100 Black Men are a mentor organization that really tries to steer kids to a career, so they could step up, then get mentored, and get somewhere with their career. That might be the thing to do.
Yeah.
Hope they collaborate. We might have to tap in with them and see. We'll take a quick break and come back and jump into the rest of the conversation. Third hour, First Guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Happening next. Stay tuned. Welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning. All be buddy to God. Hey man, now that we're in the third hour, I want to highlight something that we've been just not talking about this whole 2 hours and 12 minutes.
What you got, man? What's up, man? What you got going on over there, man? What's up?
You cut the locks.
Yeah, it was time.
Man. Wait, let me feature you.
Yeah, I ain't hit the barbershop yet, but y'all can see the glory. Hold on.
You cut the locks. Wow.
Why?
No, I didn't say why. I said wow.
No. Yeah.
I will get to I want to ask you the why, but first of all, wow. People don't understand sometimes the commitment to the locks is decades long sometimes.
15 years.
15. There you go. 15 years. So 15 years. So the decision to cut the locks is not a light one. It actually probably takes, how long did it take you? I remember the first time I cut mine, it took months for me to decide whether or not.
I've been contemplating this for years. Years. I would have personal moments where, I'd getting dressed, getting ready. I'll put my hair in a ponytail and kind of envision what I'll look like. Just it was time.
Okay, so let's talk about the why. So, and I'll preface it with this: I was talking to my sister on our trip, and she was explaining the reason why she had done something different to her hair, and talked about a lot of times when you have big changes in life, when you got big moves, and you're ready to do something new, or something new is happening, you signify it in a cutting of the hair. Cutting of the hair is kind of one of the signals. Also, a change in physical location is another big indicator. If you don't do those things when a big change is happening, it feels like something doesn't match. You have to signify. You have to add these things sometimes into that. You want a new life, new look, new environment, so on and so forth. So when you sent me the picture the first time, I was like, my first thought was, what's going on? Because like,
well, my friend said I had my Britney Spears moment.
Are you quitting the show? What's that? Oh, yeah. Wait, your Britney Spears moment. Okay. Nah, that's different. That's a different change. Don't tell me that you got a Britney Spears one. That means you lost your mind and cut your locks.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So I don't know if you care to share why, but beyond what you just explained, that you just you've been thinking about it for years, want a new look, how it'll look, so on and so forth. Anything deeper than that, though?
Oh yeah. I mean, Miss Erica Phelps, she's pretty much calling it new journey. Yeah. Since my birthday, of course, just passed. I just turned 33. And just a lot of just feeling like new journey, new changes, new chapter, new money, new blessings, new things coming my way. There's even some developments that are happening within First Sky Omaha. That's a new thing for us that I'm definitely excited about. And just getting ready, getting ready for these things, getting ready for these changes. I mean, even with this new season, like we haven't ever done a 3 hour, regular show, or we haven't ever done a evening show. Like we're trying new things. And this is all a part of that. Just, bringing in new things, trying new things, new energy. Yeah. It's a new level. It's a new level.
I feel that. What's really interesting too is I don't know what we were talking about, but you were like, speaking of haircuts, you sent me this picture, and I kid you not, I was sitting there at that exact moment contemplating cutting my locks.
Man, I mean, that's you and I are usually on the same page. That's just the chemistry. But yeah. I mean, hey, it's a thing. It's a thing.
It is a thing. Heather Williams says, I knew it was something different about you this morning.
A little lighter.
Luana Lewis says, or get a piercing or tattoo for the ultimate change. It's
Yeah. I've actually been thinking about getting some new ink as well. Ran into an old friend who's a pretty well-known tattoo artist down here in Atlanta, and yeah, thinking about getting some new ink as well.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay, so I appreciate that. I definitely like when there's some motion, some action that matches the change, especially when it's a psychological change. It's also just like a positional change in life as well. Going from having responsibilities to not, or vice versa. You don't have you don't have certain responsibilities. Now your life has changed, in the way taking care of elderly folks in your family all of a sudden, which is different than your plan or something. For me, it's definitely been moving. I've moved around a lot in my life coming up, and so it was always when I hit a spot, usually it was because I was done with the old situation, and the situation was attached to the place, and so I left the place in order to leave a situation, and then you're a different person when you're firing up something new in a new space.
Right.
People don't. You go to a place where nobody really knows who you are, or what's going on, and so you reinvent yourself. It's also a reinvention that you're looking at, and it's really interesting how hair is so closely related to that reinvention. It's so tied to that reinvention.
Yeah, man.
We just watched Jay-Z do a whole thing, man, with he had this whole Basquiat lock situation going on, and part of his whole new album rollout and new situation centered around his hair in several different ways. He came out, froed out. He sat in the balcony with Beyonce, twisting them up or doing whatever she was doing to it, and it was a whole thing. So it was really interesting how he's come back, and then he cut it off. Then now he's back to the Jersey fade or whatever they called it that he had before, back in the day when he used to rock the hats all the time. So really, it's almost when you think about stories like Samson, how his strength was in his hair, and Bathsheba cut it off, and then he lost he was a whole different person at that point. And it's just really kind of interesting that even in entertainment and stuff like that, now all you gotta do is come out with a new hairdo, and you've reinvented yourself, you changed up. But in the underground, it's really like really tied to some change, personal big changes, not just reinvention, but matching the changes. So anybody else experience that, or am I just talking outside of my neck? Anybody else have you done that before? Have you experienced it? I know some brothers I know that been had the peninsula going on, and they've been a little bald spot coming, and they one day they're just like cutting it all off, going bald. That's the change. You know what I'm saying?
I've had a few buddies, we getting in our, getting into the mid 30s, creeping up on the 40s, and that male pattern baldness starts to show. And yeah, I've had some buddies that went bald. And so a couple things to that. First of all, on the hair changing, not just Jay-Z, but also I don't know if you peep T.I., who just rolled out with a new album. He just wrote out a new album, and if you remember, he had the locks as well. He just cut his hair and came back with the hat tilted to the side. If you know old school Ti, he's back on that tip with the
Right.
brush cut and the hat cocked to the side. So there's definitely something with the hair, especially in the music industry, entertainment industry, kind of showcasing a new change, a new level, a new chapter, if you will. But also a part of that, and I'm gonna round this back around and pull it back to the conversation we were having earlier in the show, and even conversation I was having on Friday. Your word of praxis and action, and that's also part of the philosophy change that this haircut is representing. One thing that I've personally been dealing with, and I'll put the challenge out there to all of us as far as shortening the time between ideation and action. There's a lot of time when we have an idea, but how long does it, take to become a reality? To do the things, the actions that it takes to make that thing a reality.
Wow.
And cutting the hair, like I said, there's been countless times where I look in the mirror and I'm like, man, what if I cut my hair? But over the weekend, I had that moment, was like, let's just do it. Let's just go. Let's just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. So if there's something out there that y'all are holding off, something that you've been thinking about, you want to do, I don't know, you oscillating, you going back and forth, you know in your heart you want to do it, but for whatever reason you just haven't done it. Do it. Do it. Don't let it stop you. Go.
You said make that move. We can only contemplate so far, so much. You got to get to the action. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about as far as praxis, earlier in the show, I was talked about this idea of praxis, which is the antithesis of catharsis. A couple of Greek words. Practice means the practical application or exercise of a theory, art, or habit, turning an abstract idea into real action. It also refers to accepted customs or traditional ways of doing things in a group or profession. Core meaning, theory, and action, the process of using what you learned or thought up and doing it in the real world, which is something that as artists, that's our life. Try to come up with something and put it in, make it real. Custom and habit, an established rule, behavior, or standard practice shared by a community. I like that idea as well. Associated with praxis, motor planning in psychology and health, and the ability of the brain to plan and execute complex body movements. Teachers' exams, a common educational testing series requires for teachers' licenses in many states. They call that the praxis. So it's just even thinking about that educational testing. The action to what it is that they've learned all year, and so on. So just these kind of different ideas about what praxis is, and then this overview as well that AI gave me about catharsis and praxis representing two fundamentally opposed ways of processing human suffering, art, and politics, which I think is crazy. We talked a little bit about how this show, us kind of speaking truth to power and speaking to each other about the things that are happening and reaffirming our feelings about it. That's our catharsis. We get that every time we come on the show and have these conversations. It's the purging and release of pent up emotions, particularly pity and fear. It's psychological or emotional resolution achieved by venting or feeling deeply. And then praxis is translating theory into action. So they're fundamentally opposed ways of processing. It's the process of engaging in conscious, deliberate action to change material or social realities, moving beyond just thinking about a problem or feeling an emotion. Love that. It is the answer I've been looking for whenever I get really anxious about what it is that we're doing here on the show, because I want to get to the action. That's what I'm feeling. We always talk about how the conversation needs to happen first, and then once you have the conversation, once you figure out how you feel about a thing, then you start thinking about what to do about a thing, and then what comes after that is your action. So the beauty of what we've been doing here with you, the Chad Chimers and Ghost listeners, is that part, the cathartic part. And it's and now that we know, now that we're here, it's time for some action. We kind of been saying it the whole time too. Time for some action.
Hey, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. And I just find it interesting that you brought that up on today, because again, that was the very sentiment that I was trying to express on Friday, after I saw One Spoonful of Chocolate, again the new film by RZA and Quentin Tarantino. But the same sentiment from Get Out. You know what I mean? Like we watch these films where this tension is created, this emotional investment is created. We, learn about these characters and then they go through these trials and then they meet these challenges, they meet these people, these monsters, these hurdles. And then they overcome the hurdle and we get that sort of cathartic feeling. Like you know what I mean? They kill the racists or, they burn down the plantation or they do something that we might feel in our actual lives like that's like we get that release, but we leave the theater and we still getting pulled over and we you know what I mean, there's still the actual reality that we have to deal with, and that cathartic release doesn't necessarily go too much further than just a release, you know what I mean, and we have to deal with the same issue. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and in the context of what it is that we do here on First Guy Omaha, and your point of trying to get more into um, action, and which is interesting because it is it's a weird thing that we know we recognize that what we do is partially news as far as elevating the stories, telling stories, letting people know what's going on in the community, accessing all of you or giving you access to information, whether it's through the interviews that we do or some of the press releases and information that we get in that we then blast out to all of you, events that we let you know about, like that is news as well. But there is a separation or not necessarily a gray area, but another level that we're in and try to be in where news does separate, like news. And this is coming from, I was looking at a few nonprofit news organizations, national organizations, just making sure we're in the right networks and, just doing research. And it kind of jumped out to me that a lot of those platforms, although they are doing great work, it does kind of start and end with just presenting information. And that's
True.
it. It's objective. We present the information. This is what's happening, the who, what, where, when, why, and that's it. But again, that is a thing what we're trying to do as far as moving past that deliverance of information, not just break reading between the lines, understanding the information beyond the initial report, but definitely trying to figure out what to do with that information is not necessarily news, which is something that is interesting to navigate that space.
Mhm. Yeah, most def. I think when we talk about news gang, we talk about that news dissemination. We got people who are bringing on folks, and we interview people, and we watch Sermon with Sherman, and he brings on folks. I mean, all these things are made for you to be able to first of all get the information, but when you have information, you have a reaction to that information.
Hmm.
You judge that information. You decide whether or not information is good or bad, or it's going to hurt you or not. You already start to develop some feelings about what that information is and how it, whether it's something beyond you, you just skip over because you don't feel like it's relevant, or if you feel like it's very relevant to you. And all those things happen when you're having these discussions. You get to that point, and then we get to that point. The reason why I say that this platform is here for us to get on the same page, like-minded folks. If you can imagine, if there's 50 people here listening and we're all talking, and we all kind of feel the same thing and come to the same conclusion about something, and then we start doing what we do on the chat, which is start throwing out solutions. You guys do it to us, we throw it back, we talk about them, we can get down to a solution on something. Then really the next step is to get off the air and take some action on what on the solution that we just figured out.
Hmm.
And when we don't, sometimes it feels like things are getting a little stifled. Sometimes it feels like, okay, well then, all right, we're going, especially the way we do this show, because we will have evergreen conversations. We'll come back and keep talking about the same subjects because the information on the subjects change as we go, and we
Hmm.
need to update, and we need to recontextualize, and so on and so forth a lot of times. So there has to be some points at which we have some definite action taking that happens, or else I understand why I feel justified in feeling like I feel sometimes, where I'm like,
Hmm.
we gotta get to this action. You know what I'm saying? We got to make some kind of move. So whenever we're trying to get people down to the legislature to fight for bills or fight against bills, whenever we're trying to get people out to vote, whenever we were trying to get people to show up at meetings and speak up, let your voice be heard. All these things are part of that, are the beginnings of that, but it's also a lifestyle that we're sitting here talking about as well. A lifestyle that we're all trying to get to and live and understand. This is where we're gonna, when things come up, this is how we're going to react to them, because we've already worked out how to do that. So I also think about that too, not just singular actions here and there, but also just a way of life and a way of thinking, because of the way that you have, because of what the conclusions that we've come to in the conversation.
Culture.
The culture.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
that. Appreciate all of you that are in the chat going off right now too.
Yeah.
Buddy, I can jump into the chat if you.
Yeah.
Cool. Sue Kessler Hagen says, I need some new ink too, buddy. Let's make a group ink appointment in Atlanta.
Hey, let's make it
Oh.
happen. I know some people.
Miss Erica Fell says, I have never had short hair before except once in 84. She says, being healthier now, but with short hair has changed my mood for good. Okay, that's what's up.
Okay.
Also, I'm going to jump down to Pops because he's talking about the hair. He says, when I decided I was going to get into music, my hairstyle and style of dress changed dramatically to the point that old friends didn't even recognize me. Mindset change came with physical change.
Man.
Very interesting. Also, Tony Johnson, I see Tony Johnson and Anthony Rogers Wright talking to each other. Mr. Circumfest says, got me singing, make that move right now, baby. I heard that.
Hey, make it happen.
Anna Lewis says, my son used to cut all of his hair off when he had hair. However, now that he's receding, he wants his hair to grow. Blames it on his mother's genes, which is true. It is what it is. I appreciate that expression there. Sue Kessler Hagen says, I haven't been able to get to get it to pull up on Facebook lately. Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for letting us know. I'll definitely look into that. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's what's up. Appreciate you guys commenting on this and these thoughts for sure. Let us know what you think about these other ideas. You've been, especially those that you come regularly to listen and to hear and to participate. How do you feel about the action part of where we're at? I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah. Or are we just spinning our wheels? Let us know.
Most definitely.
About 30 minutes left in this thing. I do want to get into some intentions. There are a couple other stories that I wanted to finish off for, let people know what's going on with the construction downtown. Hear your thoughts on the Ames situation. How you feeling? You got anything on your mind?
No, man, this Ames situation is on my mind a lot. Like I said, I've almost died 3 or 4 times on Ames. So I'm kind of anxious to hear what the plan is, what people are talking about. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and do that. 9:32 right now. If you believe in concept of time. Third hour. Slow it down. We'll be right back. First Guy Omaha in the morning. I'll be buddy to go. Stay tuned. Welcome back. First Guy Omaha in the morning. I'll be buddy to God. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. Right on, Pops. There you go. Pops theme in the house. Man, it's going down. Hey, just want to let you guys know too, there's volunteers needed. We just talked about the parade that's happening on August 15th. They said it's Saturday, August 8th. This is brought to you by, I think I got this from the North 24th Business Improvement District. Shout out to Councilwoman LaVanya Goodwin, who's behind a lot of these efforts for cleanup. Also, Global Empowerment Network, AARP, Keep Omaha Beautiful, and NAACP. They're all sponsors of this pre-parade community cleanup happening August 8th, 2026, 9 to 11. Meet at Goodwin Heritage Garden at 311 North 24th Street. Free dumpsters. Set the stage for the upcoming Juneteenth parade and beyond. And then there's a post Juneteenth parade cleanup they're calling for as well. Volunteers there Saturday, August 15th, after the parade. Help clean the neighborhood immediately following the Juneteenth parade. You can email connect at North 24th Street BID.com for any more information or to sign up as a volunteer. Appreciate that very much. These kinds of things always make me think about your responsibility to your area, your responsibility to your city. And I don't know how other communities do it. I don't hear this a lot. I guess I did hear it in Benson a little bit, where people were making a call to Bensonites to make, keep Benson beautiful. Go out and pick up some trash here or there,
Right.
do some things. So maybe every community does do this. I used to think that it felt a little bit like, why does North Omaha have to always be the ones that we got to come out and make sure that the trash gets taken away by the train? Like, shouldn't the trash man make sure the public trash gets taken away?
Mm.
Whatever the deal. So, but people that I admire like Precious McKesson, Brother Kasim and those guys, even Councilwoman Lavanya Goodwin, they always are part of these efforts to bring these dumpsters out and clean up the neighborhood. And yes, I can see it giving you a sense of pride in your neighborhood as well. But it also always makes me think about that. What's your responsibility to your neighborhood? And with this situation with Ames, I feel like we got a lot of responsibility. We need to be stepping up, saying something about what goes on there, because people die on that street. So if the city, if they're not going to do anything about it, which is, I guess they are now.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing though? Because is the feedback? Did the feedback work? What happened with the feedback? Did that work?
Well, according to Sister Kimmer earlier in the chat, again, very vocal and active in the community, she said she wasn't very happy with the community feedback that was sought out by the organization behind, the vision planning on the Ames Street project. And
Mm,
I'll share their page here in a second. But I do want to share a personal story. This is something that I mentioned before. And what's going on Ames is basically a mirror of what happened on 30th. If you remember that corridor going through past Charles Drew, past the Highlander, down the Cummings. That used to be a 4-lane road, or really 5 lanes, if I'm not mistaken,
mm,
and like 2 lanes on each side in the turning lane. And now it's been whittled down to just 3 lanes. You got the 2 lanes, and then you bike lane and turn lane.
mm,
But I lost. Speaking of people, passing, I lost a brother, very very young, like a half brother
mm.
in that area. He was hit by a car on his bike. He just got a bike for his birthday. He was riding the bike along 30th back when the projects was there, and somebody was coming over that hill passing Walgreens and smacked right into him. He was only about 5, so
Oh my
um,
goodness.
yeah. So and it was a hit and run. Like he kept going. So the dangers of those streets are definitely a reality. Also, I believe I don't want to say the wrong name, but one of the chat chimers earlier in the chat I saw mentioned that they have a neighbor who daughters go to Skinner and they walk to school from across that Ames Avenue. So
Mm,
again, parents are definitely worried about that situation. Again, I do believe it is a mirror. So Ames will now be whittled down to 2 lanes, kind of one westbound, one eastbound, and I think there will be a middle turning lane in that as well. But there are the keep Omaha moving.com has a kind of breakdown of the plan. One second, share my screen, let the folks see what's going on with this thing. And
mhm.
again, this is the project that Sister Kimber was talking about earlier with Vision Zero Omaha, and saying that she wasn't too happy with some of the feedback that they have looked out for or solicited from the community. But this is the website you can go to if you yourself want to go and find out more information. I am seeing a lot of people ask questions, wondering what's going on with the situation. So again, the Ames Avenue Safe Mobility Recovery Plan is the name of it. Rebuilding American Infrastructure and Sustainability Equity grant. Again, it's the U.S. Department of Transportation grant that the city of Omaha has been awarded to do this project. And again, the idea to through this corridor-wise safe system approach to planning and implementation of Ames Avenue. The project will develop an ultimate vision for transportation infrastructure on the corridor, again, going from Florence all the way to 72nd. So it's pretty much all of Ames
Mm-hmm.
being redone, which is a huge stretch, as you can see here on this map. Pretty much going through all of North Omaha.
Mm-hmm. It needs it. I mean, there's all up and down, all the way up and down Ames is dangerous. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of areas that's kind of not too dangerous. I guess around the 50th Street where they got turning lanes and stuff, but they just had a big accident there late last night, 61st in Ames, 2 people injured. Yeah, I definitely see it. I've counseled my family for the last year and a half now, really, to stay off of Ames if you can. It's very dangerous situation.
And again, not just the driving, but the walkability. Shout out to Melissa Wright. If you remember, she was on the report of the elderly woman who was hit on her wheelchair and passed. I think that was over by Sugar Hill, right around that area that you're talking about, that 61st and Ames area. So, yeah. Again, it's not just safe housing, but going out in the streets, that being safe as well. And although that's a tax dollar city level situation, the community again should have some agency over what happens with that. And again, Sister Kimmer saying she's not happy with some of the feedback out there, but here is a schedule for this. And I am curious, did any of you go to any of this? Again, as you see, they apparently have pop-up meetings and data collection and analysis. There will be other public meetings going on in the fall of 2025, winter 2026. Also, more public meetings during spring 2026, fall 2026. Again, has anybody gone to any of these pop-ups or community meetings surrounding this situation, especially those of you who own businesses along that Ames corridor? Shawnee and AK and Katie with the ballroom. What's going on? What's going on?
Good question. We would definitely try to have some folks on, talk about it a little bit, and get into it. I was just definitely thinking about that area too. Every time I'm trying to patronize that area, I've had to spin the block a couple times just trying to get over to there, and sometimes when you're ready to turn in somewhere, you got all this traffic coming up behind you. It's hard to make that right or make that left into the space. Yeah, it's a difficult situation, and now they got a lot of stuff painted off. So I'm wondering if these meetings are just in order to show the public or get the public used to the fact that things have changed on their street. I don't know how much more what people could contribute in those meetings to make any kind of a difference on the stuff they're already doing. I drove the street yesterday, and there's new paint on the road for how you need to stay away from the curb and how there's a middle lane and right now they got everything coned off how it's going to be, which is one lane going one direction, one lane going the other direction, and the middle lane being a turning lane. That's really all they can do until if they were going to widen the streets, they'd have to be cutting into people's yards and sidewalks and stuff in order to do it. There's nothing they can do but narrow it down. So, I don't know what any of the feedback is gonna be. My inclination is to ask Kimber to come on the show and talk about what she wasn't happy with, and find out from her, exactly, find out what's going on there. But other than that, I'm glad to see something's being done on Ames because something really needs to be done, big time.
Yeah. Just the danger, man. Actually, a friend of mine posted a video a couple weeks ago of apparently somebody almost hit Hanks. Like there was something going on. They were racing, or they were kind of like a road rage situation. Somebody was ran off the street, and if you've seen Hanks, the gate that's surrounding the parking lot has been hit. Somebody hit it, and if that gate wasn't, if that gate wasn't there, they probably would have went into the building. So again, which also reminds me, maybe another time, but we got to talk about not Saddle Creek, but Northwest Radio as well. Like every time I get on social media, somebody hit a different building, and that's going both sides on Northwest Radio. That's a whole nother conversation because that's pretty dangerous as well. Luckily, nobody has been hit in the buildings, when the buildings have been hit. But yeah, it's a matter of time.
Omaha is notorious for people hitting buildings. I've never seen that like this anywhere I've ever lived. Like y'all just be running into buildings.
It's a whole other thing.
Got a family member whose house got ran into. Just
man,
Like,
Yeah, be careful out there.
how you hit buildings? I don't know.
I don't know
Wanda
what that
Lewis in the chat, man. I appreciate your little story here. She says, my daughter and I have located in downtown district, Little Italy. I love Little
Okay,
Italy.
okay.
Temporarily while we renovate our home. She says, we're loving it down here. However, it definitely comes with a price, something that we can't afford long term, $1,650 monthly,
Mm,
especially while renovating our home for possible future sale. That's what affordable housing looks like. Yeah, she says comes with outdoor gas grills, dog run, outdoor patio, walking distance to the old market and downtown skate park, in which she's fully taken advantage of. Uh,
nice.
I have
Okay.
friends and band members that live in Little Italy, and we used to go over there and hang and play and crash and everything. I love that little area. Little Italy is dope. I definitely think that I can definitely see it. There's examples of neighborhoods around Omaha that I would love for North Omaha to take example from and build into. Little Italy is one of them. Mini Mini Lusa area is another. Uh, there's definitely some neighborhoods, and Little Italy has always been one of them. But you're right. The cost that's how much it is all over Omaha.
Yeah,
That's how much it
pretty much.
is. Two
Pretty much.
bedrooms are like 1,600 somewhere around there.
And you don't necessarily have to answer, but I am curious. Are you in a hookup situation? We know how that goes. Like, are you in a hookup situation? Is this something you just apply for outright? Well, what's that looking like? Because a
Yeah,
lot of times it is the hookup situation.
it might be tied to your renovation efforts as well. So you can see
Yeah,
that
yeah,
put
that
money
is true.
aside on a renovation loan or something like that to
Right, right, right.
go up.
But also, while you're downtown, let me know how you faring with this construction. Because also there is some reports about more streets being closed downtown. I don't know if you've heard about that, but that's happening actually throughout this week. Omaha World Herald is reporting Omaha streetcar construction bringing new closures between Farnham Street and Old Market. Again, several new sections of downtown will be closed temporarily this week for the streetcar construction, specifically down in the old market. Rolling closures will restrict access to Farnham and Harney streets between 10th and 14th. That's from 2 to 6 today. So if you got to go downtown for any reason, you might want to avoid going that route. Also, um, there will be some construction going on at 11th and Farnham streets, and then also 14th going from Farnham to Harney. So again, that's today. There will be construction going on, and then that will basically be making its way up Farnham throughout this week. On Friday, Farnham Street will be closed between 33rd and 36th streets for track completion. So again, more of the same as far as construction going on downtown. But again, if you have to go that way, yeah, you might want to go around.
Yeah, it's real. I wonder what they're gonna do about the pothole on Farnham.
It's a
Farnham
pretty big one.
Brothers.
It's a crater out there.
Yeah, bro, it's a hot mess. I actually need to look into it. It's underneath Brothers old bar, so that's a whole kind of apartment building. It's over there by Red Lion. Like it's a huge crater,
Yeah,
and
I
they're
mean,
trying to figure out what to do in for the fill it up. I guess.
well, there's some whispers about flooding and some other things, some water damage and things causing that crater and that sinkhole,
Right.
which was actually a point of conversation. That's why this streetcar project has been moving as slowly as it has, because
Right.
there was conversation from MUD pushing back, like you can't just throw these tracks down. There has to be infrastructure that has to be updated, and I do kind of wonder, not necessarily what they're not telling us, but just what is the real situation with some of this infrastructure throughout Omaha, especially in this old market downtown uh midtown corridor.
Hmm.
How old is this infrastructure really, and what's really going on, especially taking in some of the floodplain things I've been talking about. Saddle Creek still flooding. Saddle Creek ain't too far from that area, talking about that Farnham Street. So what's really going on? What's really
Well,
going on?
well, we had a monthly meetup with the mayor where he kind of told us a little bit about what was going on, and he's the one that told us about that infrastructure having to be redone, which is the reason why the streetcars taking so long. He talked about it. These are pipes and stuff been in here since the 1800s.
Man.
Underground, and all that had to be redone first before they can lay layers of other materials and stuff on top of that before they can get to a street, before they can get to the rails. So there's a this and I'm happy they're doing it. We don't need a streetcar falling into a sinkhole once it finally
Man,
gets built, wrecking up
yeah,
some other stuff.
it's a whole nother thing.
That's what it is, man. 9:49 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we appreciate everybody that's sticking with us for the third hour. Let's make it time.
What's the house?
Hey,
What's happening? What's going down?
Yeah, man. What's going down this week as far as the haps are concerned? Nothing.
no.
Black August. Black August is what's going on.
Hey,
About it.
just wanted to play the jingle for him.
Yeah, you know, we need to break it up with a little jingle.
Yeah, a little jingle.
Study, fast, train, fight. Black August is going down. We will do some Black August stuff and some more celebrations and some of those kinds of things as well. So shout out to Anthony Rogers Wright. Go check it out, Friends of First Sky Omaha, the group page, and see his post on Black August and what it means and what we're doing. That's what it is. Also, I will say some other things going on August 7th. You can put this on your radar. This is coming up. So this is First Friday in the Village is happening on 24th and Lake Street, Area 2. Activities, art exhibits, music, Black-owned vendors, all kinds of stuff going on. There is a cover fee for you to go check this out. So definitely hit that QR code. Go ahead and pay that loot and go down there and check some things out. As you can see, they're going to have a lot of artists down there performing. Big Wade and his friends, but Ed Archibald fam in the house. Jarrell Roach, also the LT Experience. So a lot's happening down there. This is the August edition summer market. So bring some cash down there too, and hit some of the patrons up and everything. And yeah, let's get down there and get going on First Fridays in the Village. It's something I would love to see happening on the Deuce on a regular basis. First Friday, of course, is an art kind of walk in exhibit in Benson, especially with our partners over there at BFF, Benson First Fridays. They have the most extensive one in Omaha, where you can kind of go walk around, look at art, see some activities, see some music, be on the block. A lot of people get dressed up, go down there. Buddy used to DJ on the block outside. Vendors everywhere. It's a good time. It's a good time down there, but we can have that on the Deuce as well. So when these come up, please support them, because that means that we can kind of keep planning on making some of these First Fridays happen more regularly on the Deuce. But that's going down there for sure. Also, if you're on the south side, man, Mi Casa y Su Casa is coming through. And this is going to be a pretty interesting situation too. It's also $25 until July 31st, early bird sale included with the ticket. This actually is happening Wednesday, August the 5th. And included with the ticket is complimentary food, beverage. This is going to be Wednesday at Howard's Charo Cafe from 4:30 to 7. All students enter free. You can use the code student26 on checkouts. But this is going to be pretty cool. This culturalomaha.org that's putting this on, and as you can see, there's a lot of sponsors down there that are thinking this is an important thing to do as well. But yeah, go down there for a casual networking event. It's kind of what this is as well. Get to know some of your brothers and sisters on the south side over there at Mi Casa y Su Casa event coming up as well. So those are kind of what's going on as far as haps are concerned. I'm going to put this out here again too, because I'm about to be at Miller Park. I'm about to be at Miller Park messy. I'm gonna just go down there in all white so you can see how much I He's like he ate good down there. He was,
tenderism.
the tenderism.
Shout out to Sister Wanda Lewis in the chat. I do appreciate you too. Speaking of for the love of barbecue, man, those businesses along that corridor, along the streetcar, let's support them. Let's, speaking of teamwork, make the dream work. Let's help them, support. Let's team up, go down there and get you some food, patronize these businesses that are struggling. Sister Wanda Lewis in the chat says, it seems like they're blaming some of the business owners for the cave-ins and other construction errors, man. So, man, appreciate that. Appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, businesses, let's not forget, feeling the brunt, the biggest, from this construction. Some even struggling, to stay open. So let's support.
With that, appreciate that. Also, Wanda Lewis says, see if you can get Jordan the Ninja on the show. Yeah, we definitely have been talking about having him on. Yeah, he's down there talking about the construction too. It's interesting, it's entertaining, but it's also very much very much information that you're getting on what's going on around town, which is pretty cool. And yeah, definitely check out. I mean, I think pretty much everybody knows who he is.
Oh yeah,
Jordan the Ninja gets a lot of followers these days. For especially for that part of it, the construction. He's kind of a thorn in their side a little bit when it comes to some stuff.
a little bit.
Forget about it. It's going down. So yeah, we'll definitely have Jordan the Ninja on the show at some point this season as well. As another, we already talked about partnering with him on a few things. So that's all about partnerships this season. Appreciate it. Any haps that you come up with that you think we need to be checking out, please put them in the chat or put them in Friends of First Sky Omaha, the group page, or send them to us at firstsky.omaha@gmail.com. Love to hear about them. Lots of stuff going on. The summer's not over. Of course, we just talked about the parade that's happening. That's coming up, the Juneteenth parade that had to get postponed till to August 15th. So we still got some parading to do around here. So it is
celebration.
It's a celebration for real. This is a 90-degree day that's happening today, but it's supposed to cool off the next couple of days after that. And I think by August 15th we're gonna have some little pretty cool, decent weather for a parade.
Okay.
I'm hoping, fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Heather Williams says support Ivan Chill. The work on Ames is definitely having an effect on her business for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
For sure.
Support them. Support Dreamland Lounge as well because they're on Ames. Support Hanks. Just stay away from the fence.
Man. Yeah. Tripping.
Yeah. And also there's a restaurant on the corner there too.
Yes. Southern Spoon.
And they get down. Southern Spoon food is bomb.
Man. Yeah. Went there for the first time during my visit. Thanks, Paul.
Oh, yeah, your first time.
Yeah. That fish.
Yeah, for real. They do this kind of like Parmesan dusted wings. Yeah, it was cool. Shout out to Southern Spoon. They're right there on the corner as well, right across the street from Hanks, right next door to Dreamland Lounge. So it's a nice little corridor that was kind of firing up there with Ivan Chill and everybody being there. I was stopping there more than I've ever stopped in that area before, because before it was just like a barbershop. I played at Hanks way back in the day, but I haven't been there too much recently. But that was all there was for a minute, and all of a sudden, Dreamland Lounge popped up. Well, first of all, Southern Spoon popped up early on, then Dreamland Lounge, and now Island Chill. So I found myself stopping there more frequently, and again, having to spin the block a couple times because it was too treacherous to try to pull in somewhere with the traffic and the death street that is Ames. So be careful, but definitely make sure that you get around there. Sometimes you got to go around the back even. Try to come up in there. Yeah. So
take the boulevard behind North. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, something like that. Try to figure it out. Figure out the streets. But you're right. Please, let's do our best to try to frequent some of these spots. Keep them in business. We need that for real.
There you go.
Yep. With that, man, I guess it's about time to get on up out of here. You got some words for the people?
Well, just last 3 minutes. It is Monday, so y'all won't be seeing us again till Friday. Remember, tell a friend. New times Friday from 4 to 7. Ooh, almost.
Yeah. Don't be giving RG and them no ideas.
Yeah. Actually, 4 to 6, 5 to 7 my time. So there you go. Time, gotta get it. Sometimes we might get a little extra, but yeah, definitely catch us on Friday, starting at 4, coinciding with the release of the weekly wrap. So definitely check that out. In the meantime, between time, also part of our Monday is just setting our intentions, man. So I don't know if you have any intentions that you want to share throughout this week or for this week, Paul, but definitely, echoing as you see, talking about me cutting the hair, the energy is shortening the time between ideation and action, realization. Let's get to it, man. Let's just do it. Let's make it happen. If there's anything that you've been contemplating and oscillating about, going back and forth, you're on the fence, you don't know, do I want to do it? I want to do it, but hey, man, forget all that. Let's make it happen. Just do it. So yeah, let's make that our intentions this week. Also, live alive with one another, a little practice. Let's get active. Of course, there's a city council meeting. Have your voices heard. I think they're still coming up. I don't know if it's this week or next week, but opportunity to chime up on this police headquarters downtown. There's been a lot of conversation about, or not downtown, but on 72nd, maybe the new center of Omaha. We'll
Mm.
see. Yeah, kind of downtown, midtown feeling, moving to that 72nd and Dodge. So yeah, central location. Let us know how you feel about this. Again, 100 plus $150 million police headquarters.
We've already heard a lot about how you feel about it. We're going to talk more about it, though. I've actually had a conversation with some people behind it that you will find very interesting. So we will be talking about this coming up.
Yes,
It's not quite what it seems.
Okay.
On a good way and a bad way. I'm gonna just tease you with that.
I
Not
appreciate
quite what it seems what's happening over there. So we'll see.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. But again, let's talk about it. Live alive with one another. Get out, get active, have your voices heard, and catch us on Friday, man. And in between time, in the meantime, Paul B,
Yo.
take it away, man.
My intention is to really kind of fire up everybody who is we're teaming up with right now, and when it comes to disseminating news and putting news articles and news pieces out, and working on some news projects, some short documentary films, all the stuff. So really kind of pumping it up when it comes to work and us continuing the conversation as well this week, and also just to really kind of go into action when it comes to that. There's a lot of things as far as work for me is concerned, the business that it needs some action taken, and that's my intention, is to really kind of get on that. At the same time, several meetings with people that I've been in contact with here this past 3 or 4 months, trying to build the team out. So it is really going to be about an intentional teamwork week for me to really kind of lock in some team and lock in some people that we're talking about working with, and we've been discussing on how we can thrive together. So that's what I'm going to be working on, with also the intention to make sure that I pay attention to family, and also that I pay attention to sleep.
Hey,
Make sure
man.
that I get some this week. Been tough this last few weeks for me, so I'm gonna make sure that I get some sleep and cut some things out that are unneeded in order to rest. I have some intention on 2 or 3 things I'm reading right now as well. So I got 2 or 3 books I'm kind of jumping back and forth through. I want to get some of those done this week. And Pops, man, I found another tape. Me and you making music when I was about 3 years old, 4 years old.
What?
I'm gonna send it to you. So I did some tape archiving over the weekend, which is another one of my goals. Continuing on the family historian stuff, and these tapes are 50 years old now, man, about ready to disintegrate. So I'm glad I'm able to digitize them and find these gems. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So I say that to say my intention is to keep what I do in mind, along with working the action I got to take for work, but not let the action I got to take for work overwhelm me. Keep doing the things I do.
Man, that part.
Me.
That part.
Got to be me. Black Sam says, go ahead then. I heard that.
Hey.
Pop says, thanks for a great show and another awesome, great. Yeah. See you on Friday. Much love and thank you. You talking about the week show. I appreciate that, Pops. Also, Wanda Lewis says, keep in mind that there will soon be parking on the west lane going east on Ames, leaving traffic with 1 lane instead of 2, probably due to the upcoming Omaha North High Stadium. They got to get that thing together before the stadium happens. That's for real. You talk about a nightmare on Ames.
You talking about like game night, you saying, with the stadium?
Bro,
I didn't think about that.
If they don't get that traffic, that they don't get Ames right by then, they're gonna be in some real trouble when that thing gets built. Also, just found out there's another stadium being built on another high school on the west side somewhere. We'll have to compare.
Man,
how many millions went into which?
I did see that. Emphasis on stadium being built.
So much to talk about. We have our representative from Film Streams coming on through on Friday. Yeah.
Forgetting something.
Yeah, man, that's happening. Shout out to everybody at Film Streams that helps us put these things together. And another special guest that is tentative right now. So we'll have a couple of guests on Friday. Stay tuned for that. And again, please hit the bell over there on YouTube just for the times that we release some new material over there that you might want to check out. That is not our live streams as well. We got material that is always coming through, and is going to be coming through more for the rest of this year as well. So there it is. Pop says, I can't wait. I heard, it's going to be cool, Pops. I can't wait to send it to you. All right, we're out of here. We'll see you guys on Friday live. But again, we'll be here throughout the week. Check us out on firstsky.omaha.com. Hit the website, for updates, and of course follow us on all the social medias. We're ticking up on LinkedIn a lot more lately as well.
Hey,
But the main spot right now is going to be YouTube for anything that we release, and then we got to stick. I guess we got to stay with Facebook. Y'all on Facebook tough over there, so we can't. We
hold
got
it down.
to stay. We got to stay meta in the metaverse
Yeah, for now.
for now. Shout out to the Maha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Shout out to our elders allowing us to speak before you. And shout out to you, the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. Appreciate that. We appreciate your comments, your questions, your respect for the guests. If you miss any parts of the conversation that we had with Brother Leo Lewis, please go back and check it out on YouTube and like and subscribe while you're over there. Also, shout out to all of the reoccurring members of the channel as well, the $10 people, the $25 people, the $50 people. Thank you. We really appreciate your support. If you are inclined to become a member of the channel as well, please go to firstsky.omaha.com, hit the join button, and be joined into being a member, and set your reoccurring price that you would like to donate to us for us in order to keep going with this. And also, if you have businesses that you want to advertise, you can hit us up, firstsky.omaha@gmail.com. We do the advertising here as well. We do have the Friends of page where we allow a lot of people to just participate and throw some things up. But if you get to spamming that page, I get to deleting stuff. Don't be putting too many of your ads on the page without coming up. You know what this is. This is the business. I'm gonna be like, this is the business. You ain't too far gone to see that. I'm gonna be like, dude on Purple Rain.
Hey.
It is what it is. We got to keep this mug rolling. So hit us up if you want to do some business or partnerships or anything like that. Check us out, First Sky Omaha. And I'm going to do more reaching out. I know that I've dropped the ball a lot of times. It's been me making the calls or not making the calls. But my intention is to get back on that as well so that we can continue to grow this team and bring more valuable information to the forefront and get to some practice, get to some action. That's what it's all about.
Time for some action.
Time for some action. Y'all have a good one. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
By the way, Vanguard. This is protected by the red